So when I was on the Springer Show, like the crazy stuff would happen. Like, there'd be a fight, and one time a guy's shirt got ripped off, and he had one beautiful female breast, right? So like I was like, what the hell? Like that's the kind of stuff that happened at Springer.
Foreplay brought to you by Barstool Sports and presented as always by our very good friends at Chevy. We got a big show today. We are back. We're back kind of back each in our own places. I'm in Arizona. You guys are all back in your own places up in the Northeast. We're kind of done with our aggressive filming. We're done with Barstool Classic until the championship. We've gotten through a lot. Now all the onus is on the editors. They just have a bazillion things to edit over the next 6 months. Videos wise, so I know the Avalanche video is out already. People can go watch that. Dude, I see that we have Scotland returning on Thursday. Is that correct, Bush, man?
Yep.
Wow.
And we are putting out, I think today or yesterday when you're listening to this, the Queen City Classic recap of a tournament that we just kind of put together within a month. We sold the thing out in 2 minutes. This was
we're big in Charlotte. People love us in
Charlotte. Yep.
It was a
right
fun
before
day.
the President's Cup. Amazing day. So that video's out. And then also we're back in Scotland. Let's get this Scotland thing revving again, because these are some of the best videos we've ever put out. The drone work, the fucking cinematography of this place, all the audio sounds amazing. The visuals
and great
are
matches,
insane.
really good matches.
Really good matches. Came down to the end. Yep. So let's get this thing revving up again. I want to make sure this is on everyone's TV. You're looking at it in a really good setting because it's beautiful. It's one of our most beautiful series we've ever shot.
Crail Golfing Society, is that where we're at today? On Thursday coming out? I think we're at Crail.
I think so. I think it's Crail. Which is the old, I have that on my fucking flag back here. What does it say? 1786 Crail Golfing Society.
Yeah, if you folks, anybody watching on YouTube, Frankie has a new beautiful background. He just put up a bunch of stuff on the walls, and it looks really nice.
I was going to ask if this was a different room or if this was a permanent switch.
Same room, just swapped everything around, moved the couch around, so everything's just kind of new. And I got some more work to do, but it's very. What I was doing is I would put them up, and it's fucking hard to get them all to be perfectly aligned, and everything's so that took me forever. But then as I put up 3, I would knock in, because I was using a bunch of these fucking little anchors because they don't want them falling off the wall. So I was using all these anchors, and as I'm hammering the anchors in, they're falling down, and I didn't realize because I had to line them all up, and then once I'm lining them up and doing the anchor, so the Masters one fell and shattered all over the place. The only one without glass, which is not good. But it was a hell of a day trying to put those things up.
Well, look, it looks nice. We have Steve Wilkos, who was the head of security for the Jerry Springer show, and then obviously has spun off for the last 15 years into his own show. He's a big golfer. He's got an amazing story of literally taking a gig on the side as an off-duty police officer to make $35 an hour, being part of the security for the Jerry Springer show. That at the time, they were like, oh, yeah, it's just a talk show. Into now, he's obviously been massive in entertainment for decades. So we get into his story. He's a big golf guy, so we talk a lot about golf. That's coming up at the tail end of the show. So go check out our YouTube page. We got the Avalanche video. We're going to have the Queen City Classic video on Thursday. We got the Scotland video, Crail Golfing Society, big match. Myself and Trent Daddy versus Frankie and Lurch. We got caddies. I was one with my caddy. He was awesome. So phenomenal spot. Check it out. Go to YouTube. YouTube's a cool thing. Chevy's also a very cool thing. You got Chevy EVs now for everyone, everywhere. We love Chevrolet like a rock, the whole deal. The Blazers. You can go deep in the Blazer game, look into a bunch of the Blazers over time, how cool they are. Well, guess what? Now they've got them in the EV. So you can go check it out on their website, build your own, order your own. The Silverado. Chevy Malibu, I don't know if the Chevy Malibu is even on our list of things that we're supposed to talk about. Whenever we go to the rental car, because I'm an Emerald Club member for National now, thanks to Justin Mancini who hooked me up with that, where you just walk in, you just grab the key, and you get in the car, you go, you don't even have to talk to anybody. And they always have a Malibu as part of their Emerald Club line that you can just get in. I get in the Malibu all the time. It's a sexy little sedan, that Chevy Malibu.
It's got more it's got a bigger body than you expect, and I really like it. It feels nice when you drive it. You're all up on the road, you're owning the road. I'm a big Malibu guy myself, actually.
Yeah, I like the Malibu. From Bolt to Blazer.
Have you guys seen that commercial,
Equinox.
by the way?
Which one?
The Fleetwood Mac commercial that I was singing last
when
time.
they're singing in the high voices.
It's taken over the entire.
It's a really
internet's
good
taken
commercial.
Over if you watch Thursday Night Football, Monday Night Football, anything, it's running every single time, and it's just in my head constantly.
Let's hear
How have
it.
I missed that? I watch all those football.
Let's hear it. Cue bars, Frank.
No, I can't do that. But because last time I think I blew people's eardrums out. But it's the fucking Fleetwood Mac song. Can you hear
Equinox
me calling?
EV, Blazer EV, Silverado EV, powered by Ultium. They're affordable.
Yep.
You don't have to be rich to have an EV. With an established full-line brand like Chevrolet, we offer multiple EV vehicles with the volume, variety, and the value customers all over the world have come to expect. EVs for everyone, everywhere. We love you, Chevy. Okay. Nice to be back, fellas. Nice to just be kind of calm.
I can't believe,
collected.
Frankie, I can't believe you played golf after we got back. Because we didn't get back until late. We had a bit of a baggage debacle at JFK. I didn't get to bed. Debacle. I didn't get to bed until like 2 a.m. or whatever. And I woke up just feeling like I had been punched in the face because TaylorMade Media Days was a lot, especially the last day. We did a lot of stuff. And the fact that you were already like an hour into 2-hour drive, I texted you being like, how are you physically alive right now?
Dude, I played upstate New York in Salem, New York, and I actually played with Joey LaCava, our guy. Tiger Woods' caddy, obviously.
Right.
Freddie Couples' caddy,
profession.
obviously.
Yeah, that's right.
And then, so we played in this like big group thing and at Salem Country Club, Salem Golf Club. It was an awesome day, beautiful weather. One of those like you couldn't believe the days. It was like 65 degrees in the fall, just a little bit of a wind. You're like, holy shit, it's fucking October right now. We played in a group event, and me and Joey were partners, so that was really cool that he like called me in as his partner. We had an amazing day. We won, so that was great. But on the drive there, I'm not a coffee drinker. I just don't like the taste of it, and I don't think that my body really needs it because I'm so hyper and out of control. But I will say, halfway through the drive, I legit like stopped the navigation. I just typed in Starbucks and I had to go get a coffee because I thought I was going to fall asleep on the ride in. Like I honestly, my eyes were starting to get heavy. And like, as the cars passed, it was starting to become like a trance where it's like, wow, I've only had 4 hours of sleep. We just came from Florida. We played golf all week. We were doing the craziest shit of all time on golf courses. I don't know how the hell I'm doing this right now. It was bad. The wake up was bad, but it also was an exciting wake up because you're going to play with Joey LaCava. So like I was ready to go. I was going. I got there early. So that wasn't bad, but I did drink the coffee.
Did the coffee do anything for you? Because I've been drinking coffee for so long, and I'm sure Riggs and Dan are the same way, where I don't even know if I notice a change anymore. Like I'm not sure if the caffeine still gets to me and still makes me hyperactive. I think it's just part of my routine. When you drank the Starbucks coffee, did you feel a jolt?
Big time.
That's nice.
I don't know if that was like
nice
placebo effect or something where I was just thinking that it was going to do something, but the second I drank it, it felt like my eyes woke up and like I was just kind of more aware of everything. I had the windows down, the wind was hitting me. I felt better.
Did you feel like a little intimidated ordering the coffee? Because there's like a billion options. And it feels
There's a lot of options.
Well, I went and I said, can I get a coffee? And she's like, well, yeah, which one? And I said, just black with like some milk in there. So I guess it's not black. So I said, just black with some milk in there. And she's like, what size? I said, the biggest one. Just the big one. She's like, okay, so venti. Yeah. Just like everything I said, she was just kind of like correcting me on. It was pretty intimidating. Because usually when I go in there, I order like a milkshake, like a iced caramel macchiato or some shit.
That's what I'm saying. Even for me, like I still to this day don't really consider myself like a coffee guy. I'm like an iced coffee guy. I just like latched on to my friend Mike, who would order this snickerdoodle iced coffee in South Boston, and it was delicious. And so that's kind of the only thing I know is like a few different forms of iced coffee. And so I'll get the same thing occasionally too, where they'll be like, oh, do you want it with like the sweetened? And I'm like, I don't know what that even means. I just want this iced coffee. It's kind of all I want.
It is interesting how they beat the small, medium, and large out of you. Because when I first started going to Starbucks, I would do the same thing. I was just like, I would like a large black coffee. And they don't say it to you directly, but they will go, oh, okay, you'll have a venti black coffee. And they start to switch it on you. And you go every single day. And eventually you start saying, I'll take a venti black coffee. And you don't even realize the switch when it happens. But they have trained an entire nation sizes that don't sound like where everywhere else you order a McDonald's, a Burger King, whatever, it's small, medium, large. For whatever reason, Starbucks switches it on you and they just brainwash you.
Well, and also, if you think about it, it makes no sense because tall is the smallest one. Like, if you're an 8-year-old kid and you see tall, you're going to think that that's the big one.
Right. So there's tall, there's grande, and there's venti.
It's called tall. The size small is called tall.
What assholes.
Starbucks sizes.
I'm Trent, I'm right on this one, right?
Yes, and then the largest iced coffee you can get is Trenta.
Okay, so they got a demi, a short, a tall, a grande, a venti, and a Trenta.
Yep. You can only get the Trenta in iced. You can't get that in the hot coffee.
It just means 30, right?
You got to be a real asshole to come up with your own sizes. But
But
the whole world's doing small, medium, large, extra large.
But think about how influential they are, that they have tricked everybody, or I don't know about tricked is the right word, but you're going to use these, and they're the most popular coffee place in the world, and everybody does it.
Be tough if you started seeing all the other chains had to do it that way now. Like they just made it part of the lexicon.
It's very interesting how they've done that. Every other place does small, medium, large, but you walk into Starbucks, something shifts, and we all follow it. I've been drinking Starbucks coffee forever, and I get a venti iced coffee.
How do you conceptualize Starbucks? Like when you think about Starbucks, Trent, do you think of it as like a fast food place, or do you think of it as like an upscale coffee shop?
Neither. I think of it as a coffee place. I certainly don't think of it as upscale. Their food is no good. I do not like their food. Like when I want a breakfast food, I would prefer a Dunkin's where I can get a sugary donut.
Same,
you cannot get that at Starbucks. You either got to get, a sandwich, a bacon sandwich that isn't quite like disgusting enough for me. Yeah. I want it to be dripping. I want it to be horrible. I want it to clog every artery in my body, and they don't have that. So I view it strictly as a coffee place. And I will say I am fully addicted to their coffee. I'll drink a Dunkin' coffee if I'm in a pinch and it doesn't do the same thing. I have Starbucks, for whatever reason, it's got its hooks in me.
Yeah, I'm more of a Dunkin' guy. I like their coffee more. I like their breakfast more. So I'm Dunkin', but I like Starbucks. I've never really had coffee that I don't like. Like I could go pretty much anywhere and be like, I'm going to get my iced coffee. I like it flavored. So I'll get a hazelnut. I'll get a vanilla. I get almond milk in there. And that's pretty much what I get no matter what. And it usually tastes pretty good.
There's something about the Dunkin' iced coffee that is more watery to me. And I don't know what it is. Might just be the way that they make it. And
Might
Starbucks.
Just be the water.
Yeah, I guess. But Starbucks has iced coffee and it's a little bit more full flavored for me. But at this point, I'm really not in it for the flavor or any of that. It's really part of the routine. And I think, it's been a while since I've gone a day where I don't drink coffee. But I would imagine if I tried to do that, I would be in a world of hurt and I would have a really bad headache by noon.
What happened with you guys' bags? Any nightmare with you guys' bags or no?
No, they came eventually.
Yeah, they came eventually.
It took a long time. There was just like two different baggage claims, and then everyone thought it was baggage claim 1, and then remember everyone went to baggage claim 2, and everyone was like, why are we at baggage claim 2? And we went back to baggage claim 1. It was just a mess.
Riggs. One person was like, maybe it comes on number 2, and then all 200 people just listened to that one person talking to like their friend. Like, it was very bizarre. I actually went over. I'm like, you just ruined everyone's like night.
I'm getting a feeling that Riggs Barstool has a tale to tell.
Well, yeah, I mean, I might never walk again, to be honest with you.
Oh, that's right. But did you lose your bags?
My golf clubs didn't come, but it was actually it was a godsend because then they just had to deliver them because I couldn't walk anyways.
This is a hard thing to talk about because we participated in an activity at TaylorMade Media Day, a video that's going to come out in a few months. And,
but I would say like in a video that we were filming, I was running and jumping, and in a dismount while I was doing that, my ankle completely buckled and rolled, and to the point where, I mean, when I woke up on Friday, everyone was hitting me up like, you have to go to the doctor. Your foot is one of the worst things I've ever seen, and I've managed the swelling. I think it's going to be okay. As someone who has I've broken my left arm 3 times. I've shattered my right index finger. It's being held together by a titanium plate. I've torn things many times. I don't think there's anything torn or broken in my right foot. But I had, Wednesday, this happened. We filmed for like 7 hours total, I would say, over 2 days. And in the last 3 minutes of us filming, this happened. So it's
but the most electric 3 minutes.
It was great, and it's going to be really good. People are going to love it. I imagine the video is going to, especially this clip, is going to be very well, viewed and liked by many people. But it's like we're so close to the finish line and so close to like 4 months of pure bliss in Scottsdale and hanging out. We just do the podcast for a couple fucking days a week, and it's great. And then this happens. I get through it on adrenaline. It starts to swell up. I have a 2-hour drive to the Miami airport. So it's like we were in Jupiter. 2-hour drive, your foot's as low as can possibly be. It's below your body. It's supposed to be elevated and iced. I stopped at a gas stop, station thing that they have off the highway where there's a bunch of different places. I literally got an extra plastic bag, filled it up with ice, and leaned my foot up against it, and then drove with my left foot, which is really hard to do.
That's insane.
Really hard to do. And like my braking was not particularly consistent. It's like hard, but I was like, if I don't get this thing, I might never walk again. So I don't think that helped very much. So for 2 hours, I'm driving things on. And then I get there, and in fucking Miami airport, the rental car center drop-off walk to the actual check-in area at American Airlines is the longest walk in history. And every fucking moving walkway thing I walked by was shut down and broken. So I'm lugging this thing, and I'm telling you, every step I took, I had tears in my eyes as I was walking through this airport because I had to make it. Like, it was like if you put your finger on a burning stove, your body naturally, like, you just don't do that thing that hurts. I had to do it. So every step was excruciatingly painful. I got my golf clubs and 2 other bags with me that I'm pulling through this fucking airport. And I'm pretty tight on time. It's like 1 hour till departure, and I have to get my way all the way through the airport and check in. And if I don't, then I have to go all the way back, check into a fucking hotel. I can't even walk. So I'm like, I have to make it. So anyways, I'm lugging through. People walking by me being like, "Are you okay, sir?" I'm like, "No."
So you're visibly limping.
Oh my God. I can't. I legit
like are we talking
I'm like this? Like,
you know what I'm saying? Like, are you going down with every step?
Was there any thought to, when you're walking through an airport, sometimes there's those
Wheelchair.
carts, the carts that drive by that beep, beep, and there's old people on it. And did you see one of those try to flag it down?
I would have killed for one of those. Those are like inside the gates. Those aren't like hovering around the rental car facility area.
I see. I was confused on where you were. So you're not even through security yet.
No, because I have all my shit and I have to get to the thing. So I'm like, you have to not only get to the thing, you drop off your car, and when you drop off the rental car, nobody they just come, they're like, would you like a emailed receipt? That's it. You don't really have any touch points until you get to check-in. And then once you get to check-in, they're like, can we help you, sir? They take your bags. You're pretty close to security. And it's sort of, but to get to that point is a fucking nightmare. So I had to go, you have to walk at Miami airport. You got to go, rental cars like on the bottom level. You got to go all the way up to the top, take a shuttle over, then go back down to the bottom, and then walk all the way across this like sky bridge thing, and then figure it out. And I have to do that whole point. I'm literally like begging for like a car or a wheelchair guy or something. But those people they're all like after you get through security. There's none of those people around this like area pre-check-in. So I'm lugging and I'm like, I'm not going to make it. I'm like, I'm still seeing these signs. I'm still seeing fucking check-in is like, you got to go down the elevator and across. And I'm not even close to there yet. And it's like, now I got like 55 minutes till the flight departs. So if I'm like, if I don't check in 10 minutes, my bags aren't even going to get there. And I'm going 1 mile an hour. At one point, I just stopped, dropped all my stuff, pulled out my phone, and was like, I either turn back now and I got to come up with a different plan, or like, I have to make it because I'm crying in the airport. Like it hurts so bad. I'm like crying.
Did you have any Advil in you or any sort of painkillers or anything?
Nothing, dude. I didn't have time to stop. It's like I stopped, grabbed ice, got back in the car, and was like, I have to make this flight. I was like up against it, and so I'm marching through.
I would have stopped. I want you to know right now.
It for sure.
When there's tears in my eyes, it's like I'll get another flight out of Miami. Maybe I'll stay here for a week and I'll just let my leg heal. But it sounds like you powered through.
What I was thinking was like, if I stop, then I have to walk back.
Yeah.
So like, I might as well walk that way. Then I have to like get an Uber, wait for the Uber, fucking get a hotel room, and then tomorrow or whenever I got to do this whole thing again. So I'm like, we're already here. Like we got to do this. So I march through. I make it. It's like 41 minutes, and they're like, "Sir, you got to check in 45 minutes before, but we're going to see if we can override the system." Luckily, they were like, "Not a problem. One of your bags might not make it. We'll see." I was like, "I don't care. Fine, thank you." And then at that point, I marched through, and with like TSA pre and clear and all that bullshit, like I knew I was going to actually get on the flight, but you still got to just make it. Like you have to physically get there, and there's no problem rushing through an airport when you have like you don't really notice it. Every step was a nightmare. And then you get there, I get on the plane, and now for the next 6 hours, like a 5.5 hour flight, for the next like 6 hours, my foot is just as low as can be. So really for the first 12 hours after this gruesome injury, they're like, oh yeah, Rice, like fucking rest, ice it, compression, elevate it, the whole deal. I couldn't do any of that for the first 12 hours. So when I woke up on Thursday morning and looked down at my foot, it was the most swollen thing. It's bruising all over the place. Like every fluid in my body just rushed down into my right foot. And it looked like a horror show. I couldn't get my shoe on. I couldn't get my right sneaker on to my foot.
Jesus.
Because
Were you
my
in
foot
bed
was
all
so
day?
swollen. And so then all Thursday, all Friday, all Saturday, I just iced and elevated it and basically played Xbox. But the one exception was like Thursday evening. Joel Damon texted me and was like, hey, I'm at this bar across the street. I got 2 hours to kill before I got to go to dinner with the wife. Do you want to come by for a drink? And I was like, yes, I'm going to come by for a drink. That might have been a mistake just because that's another 3 or 4 hours that it turned into of like not resting, putting alcohol in your body, and my foot being below. But anyways, ever since Friday morning, basically until right now, I've just been foot like this. Even I sleep this way. I sleep with my fucking foot on a bag and 2 pillows up in the air with ice taped to my foot, just trying to get through it. And the swelling, I do believe, is gone down. It has gone down dramatically. There's still like bruising on my foot. I think if I had to with like a brace, I could play golf now at this point. But if I was like an actual athlete, I don't know that you'd be able to return to like doing real athletic activities for weeks, if not months. Like my ankle is,
You have a high ankle sprain. Is that
I
right?
think I have a severe high ankle sprain is my
Got it.
best guess.
So
of
there's
what I
there's
got.
not much recovery right now. You still like you couldn't go out and play golf today.
I haven't been able to, and I think I'd be able to. Like if I was Tony Finau trying to get through the Masters, I'd be able to. Problem is I think it halts your recovery like dramatically. So it's not as fun as it might be. It would be, I think, problematic to do so. So far I have that. And then I do 3 times a day. I write the alphabet with my ankle in the air.
Nice.
Is what they want you to do.
Mobility.
So
yeah.
I go capital A, B, C, all the way through the whole deal. And I do that 3 times a day. That's supposed to help kind of strengthen it. But I think the moral of the story is I got to get stronger ankles going forward because you just can't have your ankles buckle when you're doing
On
a
the
pretty low difficulty level activity that I was doing that just paralyzed my right leg for like weeks, potentially months.
Well, you took off to the Miami airport, and we were flying out of Jupiter later, so we had a little bit of time to kill. And we watched the footage back because we wanted to see it because we were hearing reports from the people who were shooting it. Were like, no, he really messed his ankle up. And you had sent us the picture, so we knew that it was bad. So we went back and we watched the footage. It's gnarly. You were doing an activity and then immediately were trying to sprint after that activity, and your ankle completely caved, and you fully twist your ankle. And yeah, it's going to, for better or worse, it's going to look great on video. You know what I mean? Like
It already does. We've seen it. It's hilarious.
Right. You're going through all this. You went through all that pain. You're crying in the airport. But the good news is
The content's great.
the content's great. So, you got that. It's not like you did that in a place where there was no video cameras. You got the full thing on video, and it looks as bad as it sounds.
The funny thing is, right before we started this was obviously a concept that required some physical activity, which obviously led to us making a lot of jokes about how little physical activity we get in our daily lives and how this was going to be sort of dangerous and different. And I said to Alex Bush before, I was like, how funny would it be if someone pulled their hammy during this? Like if someone
really
just
funny.
had a lasting injury and this happened afterwards, and it was worse than anything I could have ever imagined.
You'd think all the money would be on me too. I was probably a minus 700 favorite to get hurt during this thing. I'm
Especially
not
after
going to say
the
I'm
pinched
happy.
nerve.
I'm not going to say I'm happy that happened, but I'm just glad it wasn't me. I was going through a pretty rough time with my pinched nerve. I do want you guys to know that I'm getting an MRI this week because the doctor said I have to get one. I have what he thinks is a herniated C7 disc.
Okay.
And the thought is that I've had this for a long time, so much so that I probably didn't need to get elbow surgery. Like
What?
that is the root of my problem. Like basically the C7 disc and that nerve goes down to your elbow, that nerve, and then goes down to your finger. Now it's like super rare, which he thinks I could have had because my elbow doctor was incredible and did all these tests on me, did a nerve test on my elbow and saw that it was crushed. And I remember when he was like, yeah, it's slightly crushed. And I don't know if that's the impact like moment or whatever, but he's like, we can definitely go in there, clean it up, and you should feel less pain in your fingers. But we never really tested anything in my neck. And I remember a lot of people telling me like, you should check your neck first. You should check your neck, do some physical therapy on your neck, and that might open it up. And this guy's like, dude, your neck is like fucked. Like he took x-rays, seeing that everything's leaning to the right. We can't see if there's a herniated disc unless you're on an MRI. So I'm getting to that done. But he thinks, yeah, it's pretty crazy that I just haven't like rehabbed whatever injury I may have had to like the back of my neck. And that can come as like looking at your phone too much, to like all the way down here when you're on your bed, if you're sleeping the wrong way. We took x-rays. Dude, my spine is like this, angled down. It's supposed to be inverted back. My neck's supposed to be like a U, and it's a fucking slanted eye.
What would the surgery do? Like, what would they?
There is no surgery. Well, no. Now it's like I need to like rehab this. I just never, ever, ever attacked this. So when I go to the chiropractor, he stretches me out.
So
he
C7's
puts, like,
up here in the neck?
C7's like right in the bottom of the neck. So like when he was cracking my neck, he's like, I've always been adjusting your C5 and all this shit. He's like, let's get lower. And like, dude, when he did it, it felt like fucking blood rushed through my body. It was weird.
This is a chiropractor, right?
This is a chiropractor. I'm a little nervous because I got sent a video of a girl getting her neck cracked, and now she can only communicate by blinking. So I mean, it just came through. It came across my desk this morning.
Yeah, you're the
this morning.
You know what came across my desk
1 in
yesterday?
500,000 chance to get that happen. She
there's
snapped all her arteries, 4 arteries in her neck.
Immediately? Like, is there video of her just being done, or is
that like a miss by the doctor? Like that feels
like a miss.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, it's a 1 in 300,000 chance, and like I just
that's like an execution error. That person that was going to happen.
I guess it's an ongoing investigation. All I know is I saw a girl on a feeding tube.
He can't comment. It's an ongoing investigation.
It's a fucking. She's on a feeding tube now. It's fucking horrifying stuff.
Terrifying.
I was on TikTok yesterday, and I found myself in dog chiropractors TikTok.
Ooh,
and there's, dude, I'm gonna send you guys a video. It's amazing. It's this it's a Bernese mountain dog, and the guy is doing what he would do to a human, but it's a dog. So the dog's just like, what the fuck is going on right now? And then he cracks the dog's neck like crazy, and the dog stops panting and just looks at him like, am I alive? Like, what am I? What's the situation now? And then the dog's like, all right, I can breathe again. And the dog's like excited. It's an incredible video. It's incredible. And it makes me want to go to a chiropractor because.
So the chiropractor that I'm going to, I really like because he doesn't like crack my back and then just leave. Like it's a lot of stretching. There's a lot of maneuvering of the back and the shoulders and massaging and like putting stim on muscles and all that stuff. So I don't feel like I'm going in just to be cracked. And then like you become addicted to it. You become addicted to that very, very like short-lived relief because they say it's just popping. All that crack is just air being released from pockets. It's not actually cracking your bones.
It's like cracking your knuckles.
Right. It's just air releasing. So, and like pockets of air. So I understand a lot of people thinking it's like voodoo magic and voodoo, all this bullshit that doesn't actually work. I really like the stretching part. I could feel it actually stretching where my shoulder blade was. Like I feel better today than I did the day before I went. So that has to be working. And it's like that, the guy that you went to, Trent, this guy, Joe Schmo. Oh, his doctor. What's his name? Jeremy Schmo. I call him Joe Schmo. He's in Minnesota and he works with a lot of hockey guys. He works with a lot of hockey guys and he does this like gyro spinning, all of this stuff to basically align your brain. And they're chiropractors by trade before they got into this type of stuff. Basically aligning your eyes and aligning your brain and making sure that you're more focused and you're hyper aware. But one of the things that they talk about is like, not a lot of people think about your neck and how it's the streamlined vessel from your brain to the rest of your body. And if there's things that are messed up, whether it might be like muscles are messed up or like, just the alignment of it or your disc is herniated, that is the tunnel. All of that information is getting sent down. So there's all these stories of people like thinking more clearly when they get their neck aligned, when they're just more aware. So hopefully that fucking helps me. Maybe that's the root of my brain problems is that the road to the rest of my body has been blocked. There's been a blockade.
This might have been the most important doctor visit of your entire life. It might have unlocked.
But then, like, it's a chiropractor. So is it real? Is it not? I don't know. I know it makes me feel better. I know there's going to be a lot of people that say don't go and go to a fucking physical therapist.
People are a little controversial on
chiropractors. There's been some pseudoscience accusations lobbed at them, I think.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, they think that they manipulate your body in a way that like you have to come back. So like you're constantly cracking things and then your body needs it more. It's almost like drinking coffee. Like once you have it, you have to keep coming back. And that.
Well, I mean, what do we think the pharmaceutical companies are doing out there?
Exactly.
Let's get into
this.
Let's get into it.
That's why I said like he stretches me more than he cracks me. I've been to a chiropractor where you walk in and
she invented COVID.
She would do like the same cracks on me regardless of what happened. And I'd be like, what did that just accomplish? Like that accomplished nothing.
I want the number of this chiropractor. Is it around us?
Yeah, it's like like 2 miles away.
Because I would love. I need something. I need
Dude,
a lot.
He puts
done.
you on this bed that in the middle under your hip, it goes like this, right? So it's a bed, and then it goes up and down.
That's the whole first stretch I do in my video.
And bro, you're just laying there, and you're like, oh, you're just your back is getting stretched apart like it hasn't been, and it's such a just common move. It's just like, oh.
All right, I'm
You
gonna
can pay all the money.
money.
Trent, you could pay the money for that chiropractor, or you could watch the video out on Foreplay Twitter of my
That
stretch
video
routine,
put out's
because
outrageous.
That is the first stretch, is that little sort of cat-cow movement where it's just first thing in the morning and you want to get your back loosened up.
This is just Dan's stretching video. Is that what we're talking about?
I am injury free after a grueling week of videos in Florida. After a grueling summer, I feel as good as I've ever felt, and all of it is
These memes that Frankie is showing us are great. It's
all
just
of it
Dan
is
in a stretching.
all of it is thanks. All of it is thanks to this stretching routine. So if any of you are trying to get loose and limber or pliable, as the kids call it, you got to watch it. Your back will thank you. Your hips will thank you. It's all in the hips. The hips feed the wolf. All the good stuff. Watch it.
All right, I'm gonna go to a chiropractor to get thrown around a room.
That's fair. That's fair. You are the richest person in the world.
I won't send you
so.
the video. I won't send you the video of this girl that is fighting for her life. I will not do that.
Do not send that to me because I don't need that. I just don't need any of that. That's
When
you get caught in these situations where you think, not that you think, but it's just in the back of your head. Like we're thinking about getting LASIK, and as soon as I brought that up to you, he's like, "Well, I know this one person who their eye got shot out the back of their head, and now they can't see." It's like I don't need to hear. I don't want those stories. Those are
the only reason why I
not-
get super nervous about shit like that is because, all right, you could get hit by a car walking across the street tomorrow, and I get that. Life is very fragile, and that's been proven day in and day out. It's a fucking horrifying place out there.
That doesn't happen.
Right. It's a horrifying place out there. My whole scary thoughts about it is that we're actively walking in there as healthy men, and we're getting a procedure done that we don't need to get done. That's where it's like, imagine something wrong happens. Like, is it that bad wearing contacts and glasses? That's the only reason where it's like, imagine being blind tomorrow and you just didn't have to do this. I hate that thought where it's like, all right, it wasn't a mistake. I consciously went in there and fucking did it because I'm lazy and don't want to put my glasses on anymore. I want to be able to watch movies and fall asleep. Like, what does that even mean?
Do it.
I know, I'm going to do it. That's the part of my brain that just is always like, don't do it.
You're making a lot of good points, but you just have to look at it, unfortunately or fortunately, from a statistical standpoint, where it's just, 99.99999% of people walk in, walk out, and it's all good. It's just that these horror stories that you dig up from somewhere that make
my friends send them to me.
Yeah, well, that's.
I still think that when a plane takes off occasionally, even though all the stats are, it's more dangerous driving to the airport than it is on the plane. But I'm like, when a plane's taking off and I'm not feeling that great, I'm like, dude, if this tire just goes out beneath us, we're going too fast right now. It's over. I could have just driven. Like I could just drive to this place that I'm going to. I don't need to do this giant death machine that's going 500 miles an hour for no reason. I could just drive.
Right. The fact of the matter is, we are, as people living right now, we're the tip of the spear, no matter what. Those numbers, all those numbers do not matter. They really don't. Like they do in a way that you are trying to comfort yourself, where it's like, 99.999% of planes, they go up and they go down. We're going to be fine. But the fact of the matter is we're right here. We're just going. And whatever happens, happens. It can happen anywhere. And it's not the greatest thought in the world, but it also happens to be true. Now, chances are you're going to be totally fine because people check the plane a million times before it takes off, whatever. But we're just living in the present, so anything can happen.
The first 8 times I flew into LaGuardia, you know how you're flying over the water the entire time, and then at the very last second, the pavement shows up. For the first 5 or 6 times I flew into that airport, I was like, all right, we're going down. Where the hell is the land?
Right. Yep. It's tough because you can't, obviously you're just looking out sideways. You're like, it better be I better see something airporty.
It takes a long time to
soon.
come.
Like if I see something airporty, that'd be a cone.
Yeah,
like a fucking cone or something.
I need a
like,
flashing light under this plane right now.
Come on, man. I know, it's awful. It's just, I no matter how many times I fly, I do hate that feeling as it starts to really pick up speed on the runway of you have zero control now. Zero on anything. And I get that somebody could run you over. Even when you're driving in the car, somebody could run a red light and hits you at the intersection. It's over. But you still feel like you're in control. You have the brake and the gas and the steering wheel. You have some control. It's like, dude, when they start ripping, you're like, All right. It's just zero. I have 0.000% control right now.
It's actually interesting that you bring that up. I was reading a book by comedian Mark Maron who talked about this thing where when I first started to fly a lot, and before I got this job, I didn't fly a ton at all. But I remember early on flying, I would think, rationally or irrationally, that the things that I did on the plane were somehow going to affect the outcome of the flight. And what Mark Maron talks about is you got to let that go. Like you holding your hands on the rest of the chair in a certain way is not going to affect what happens on this flight. So almost it's what you're saying, Riggs, but it's the opposite. I have no control.
Well, there's
I have
fender
no control
benders
of
in the
this.
air. That's what you're saying is there's no fender benders.
right.
You're either going down or you're okay.
Something goes wrong here, it's over, man. And it's not, there's very few scenarios where you're in your life where that's the case. Like even if I'm somewhere and there's like a gunman and like maybe you probably have no chance, but like at least I can feel like I can run and like try to have some control to get out of this bad, horrific, tragic like situation where it's like at that moment when you're on there, like you're saying, there's no fender bender. You have no control over your fate at this point. At all. Like if this plane is going down, if it's a doomed flight, you got nothing you can do at this point. Nothing is going to help you. It's just over. And that feeling is just, you're not in that position in life very often where it's like, this is pretty dangerous. Think about how fast we're going. Think about how fragile the human body is. My ankle doesn't fucking work just because I rolled it a little bit. And like if this fucking giant metal tube with that's basically a bomb with all this gasoline underneath us just goes down, like, I have no control over that. None.
You do say that we're rarely in situations where we have no control. That's also not necessarily true. Like a plane, it's very elevated, and you're like, oh my God, we're 20,000 feet in the air, so I really feel like I don't have control. You also don't have control much when you're walking down the street. Like you're walking down the street, you're like, oh no, I feel like I could move if something came at me. But if a car comes at you fast enough, you have no control.
Yeah, but you feel like you can at least jump or run. You can't jump or run on the plane. Like if the plane's going down, you're on it, buddy. You're strapped in. It's over.
How come we don't get passed out parachutes when you go on a plane?
That would be more disconcerting to me than the way we do it now.
I don't understand why we wouldn't just all have to strap on a parachute just in case something happened up in the air. We would all just at least have a chance.
It's a cost issue, right? I mean, like it would cost them money to have parachutes for every single person. If it was purely a safety,
you bring your own parachute. Yes. Are you allowed to bring your own parachute?
That's a
really
good
question.
You know,
can I pack and wear my own parachute on the plane? But then how are you going to get off if it's going down?
If it fits in the carry-on, I think you can bring it, right? It's not
I think you could be like, "Hey guys, excuse me, you guys in 17, can you slide left here? I'm gonna jump out of this plane with my parachute."
Dude, I
don't think you can open up a plane door even if you tried.
No, that you can. That's like the emergency exit thing, right? Isn't that how they work? Or is that just for when you land?
Yeah, I don't think in the air you'd have a chance.
How do they do it with actual people who skydive?
I don't know.
They're probably not up as high, probably not going as fast.
It's probably also not a door that comes out. Yeah, it feels like it's a slider.
I'll tell you this: you walk through airport security with a parachute, they're gonna have some questions. They're gonna say, "What's all right?" So we got that guy's got some toiletries in there. That guy's got an iPad. Now, what's that guy with the parachute doing? Why does he have that?
Why is he planning to jump out of a plane in about an hour?
That's okay. Let's question him a little bit.
Yeah, let's prod around, see what this guy's got.
What's your plan here with this parachute?
My biggest fear on planes is not the takeoff, even though now it probably will be. I never really thought of it that way. It's always when we reach our peak cruising altitude and everything seems very calm. I think about what if this thing just drops out of the air right now, and it's a very unsettling feeling. Like thinking like at any moment this thing could just go boom and just down. Both engines out. We just fucking go on a nosedive straight down. Like it's that feeling of it could happen for the next 3 hours. You know what I mean?
I feel like that's kind of my respite because I feel like the accidents happen with takeoff and landing, don't they?
Yeah, but it's just that feeling of like you're almost on the Tower of Terror at Universal, and at one point it's just gonna go down, and it doesn't, and it's very solid. But we have this feeling that we're like on solid ground. You're on the plane, you're sitting down, you got your feet on something solid. You're in the fucking air, man. You're fucking way up there. You're 30,000 feet up there.
You do like once you're up there, you have to get down safely at some point. Like you have to. That's not
those guys.
If you're on a train and your train's going 200 miles an hour, somebody could just kind of hit the brake and it'll just come to a stop and you're fine. You just walk off it.
Unless it's a
plane that we're
Denzel
up
movie
here-
where it just keeps going.
But I'm saying like this plane that's up there, like if someone doesn't get this thing on the ground and like, which is a really hard maneuver to do, then it's over. Like somebody has to get this thing out of the sky in a safe manner.
Landing is the scariest part for me, bar none. Taking off's fine. Being in the air is fine. I always, for whatever reason, I always think that the wheels aren't going to come down evenly and we're just going to barrel roll down this runway. I don't know why.
I always thought that we would survive that. Whenever I'm like down to 500 feet, I feel like we've already survived. And I'm probably wrong about that. I bet if you read me the statistics, it would say that most of the casualties happen from 500 feet down. But I just feel like once we're there and we're above the concrete, I'm like, all right, worst comes to worst, we like slide on our side and we make this thing. But I feel like that's wrong.
That's
Probably
an
goes on
interesting
fire.
question. I wish if we ever have another commercial airline pilot on, that's a question that I would ask them. When we are, 1,000 feet, 500 feet, 350 feet, like where is a good spot to be if things go haywire? Feels like it's probably the opposite. Like if you're 30,000 feet and things go wrong, clearly you're in a bad spot. But if you're, 400 feet off the ground and things go haywire, what are the chances of survival?
I'm always impressed that planes land straight every time. Like, wouldn't you think that as they land, if there's a little bit of a hiccup going that fast, if you're off by a degree, like if that front wheel comes down like just a little bit to the left, wouldn't you just fly off the side of the runway going?
Right, it's only 3 wheels. It's not like they have
I
it.
think
like,
about that constantly. And
how
I also
do they do that? How do they
right
always
now
land straight?
Right now during this podcast, I want to apologize to anybody who's flying because we're just going through every scenario that is just as bad as can be. You're going to be fine. 99.99999% of flights, they're totally fine. If you didn't bring a parachute, that's still fine. It's going to be all right.
Dude, when Joe Rogan had all the guys on like the Protect Our Parks, I think it was the most recent one where he had Shane Gillis and all those guys on. They were talking about something with flights going down. And they were researching all this stuff with flights going down. I was on a flight and I couldn't have skipped it faster. Yep. I couldn't have hit 10 seconds. I just kept going and they were still talking about planes every time I'd stop. I'm like, are these fucking guys kidding me right now? What could you possibly be talking about? That was bad.
We just did that for 15 minutes.
I know.
Sorry. I do.
What else we can talk about? The LIV Championship? Did anyone watch it?
I did.
We have an official ticket partner, exclusive ticket partner, Barstool Sports, Fore Play. It's called Game Time. Nobody does it better than Game Time. Nobody. I mean, nobody. It is the ticketing app that makes it easier than ever to score the best deals on tickets to sports, concerts, shows. They guarantee the lowest price. If you haven't gotten Game Time, go get it. Go download it right now. Best part is the interface, the user experience. That's what you want. You're looking for a ticket. You don't want to be grinding all day over all kinds of websites and ads are popping up and you're in a hurry and you're trying to impress somebody with a ticket. Game Time. The app is incredibly simple to use. It's quick. You're going to get the best deals. If you're not using Game Time, you're going to miss out. That's really what it comes down to.
Game Time. The number one app to get to events. And we actually
Nobody
use
does it better.
We
do actually use it. We actually use it. I actually was bummed. I should have gone to the Phoenix Coyotes home opener at the college rink the other night because it looked like a great time. I saw a bunch of people all over social media posting about it.
That's
it's crazy.
That's a pathetic organization right there.
But it looked like a good time.
I mean,
and I wish
think
I would
about
have been
that.
at this event.
Think about the fact that NHL team, how bad it is for our league that the NHL team is sharing the home logo on the center ice with a college team. So that would mean that the college team, when they got to that level of their sport, they play in this arena. And then you're saying that there's no going up from there to get to the NHL, the National Hockey League is playing in the same arena. They're sharing the ice. Come on. We have to be better. Just move out of
Download
Arizona.
the Game Time app. Go to the account tab to create a login. Redeem code FORE for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time. Last minute tickets. Lowest price guaranteed. I watched on Saturday because, again, I was relegated to just my couch with my foot elevated in the sky, rice. I threw it on YouTube for maybe an hour. I actually was texting Dan about it. I think that was Thursday, or I think that was Saturday or Friday. I can't remember. I threw it on for like an hour. I watched a little bit of it.
I made a wild decision on Saturday, by the way. Like crazy anti-Frankie Borelli, the way he grew up, the whole thing. I never, ever would have believed that I made this decision. Josh Bailey, I'm just going to bring this to hockey really quick and then we can get back to the live stuff. Josh Bailey, 1,000 games for the New York Islanders. Islanders are on a roll right now. They absolutely dominated the Rangers. They swept them out of the building.
4-0,
3-0, just a complete domination. Sorokin's the best goalie of all time. Then they went on. Right. They went the next night. They won in fucking Carolina. They won again. So they're fucking rolling right now. So 1,000 games, and then they beat fucking the Avs, by the way. So the Islanders are rolling. 1,000 games. I've been a Josh Bailey fan my whole entire life. My first jersey I bought from this core team was Josh Bailey. He was drafted in 2012, 2011. I've had a Bailey jersey. I have a picture of my dad walking into the Nassau Coliseum with my Josh Bailey jersey on his back, October 20th, 2013. That's how long I've been repping this fucking guy. He plays 1,000 games. I'm friendly with him. I'm friendly with his wife, the whole family. We love each other. Everybody gets together all the time. He's been one of the guys that I've been lucky enough to meet off the ice and we've become friendly. Huge thing, right? 1,000 games. I get a text. Hey, Saturday night, we're having a celebration for Josh after his 1,000th game. We're doing it at this bar in Manhasset. You're invited. Like, this is a Frankie Borelli all-time invitation dream. Like, where this kid was, I was waiting outside the fucking the ramp just to see what kind of cars these guys drove. And now I'm going to be able to celebrate this guy's biggest accomplishment that he's had so far, 1,000 games in the league. All the teams go on there. The predicament is I had a Halloween party with all of my friends. And I'm a group costume with people, and it's like it was the definition of, are you one of the boys still, or are you gonna be Mr. Big Time Hollywood, and you go out and you go to the Islanders party and you have your drinks and your photos and you become friends with all these guys. What do you do? And I gotta tell you guys, it was the hardest decision of my life. I did not know what to do, and I was like, what's gonna happen to me? Am I really gonna miss this party on both ends? And I got to tell you, I fucking stayed with my OG friends and we did the costume party. I missed the Islander game. They beat the Avalanche. They scored 5 goals in like the third period. It was the best game that they've had at UBS Arena yet. Places going crazy. All the guys won. Brock scored. Everyone's going crazy. They went out. They got drinks. I missed it all. I'm getting text messages from Brock saying like, what an Islander fan. They're all shitting on me, saying this is the quote unquote leader of the fan base. They're really digging into me, telling me to take my makeup off in the morning, the whole thing. And I fucking stayed there and I was just Fred Jones from Scooby-Doo with a fucking blonde wig on and teal ass pants. And I had a bunch of fucking Truly Hard Seltzers and I played beer pong. And you know what? It felt really good. I don't know what that says about me.
That's a good guy move. That's a good guy move.
I don't know what it says about me as a fan. I feel like I lost a step. I don't want to feel like I lost a step because it killed me. I was watching the game on my phone. College football was on. I just wanted the people to know that I missed the game. I got a lot of tweets about it. I'm sorry I missed the game. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what the right decision was. But I think you made the right decision. I really do. I think that's the right way to do it. I don't know.
Stayed with your old friends.
You never forget the day ones.
Right. Was this purely your decision?
It really ended up being my decision. It was. There was a lot of factors in play. But at the end of the day, I was told like just go to the fucking party. Like go to the
that's
game
what I was
party.
gonna say. What I would do is put like the text into the group chat and then hope that the boys are like, dude, you got to go to that party. Like,
wait, so all right, then were you gonna show up to this Islander party as Fred from Scooby-Doo?
I don't know what I was gonna do. I really don't know. I think the decision was you go to the game and you go to the party, or you stay at the house party and you just do the Halloween costume.
You made the right call. You made the right
I thought about it for a long, long time, but yeah, it was a big life moment for me where it's like, what the fuck?
Pretty
do you
cool.
Because
the Islanders are at their party and they're like chirping
Where's
you
Frankie?
while they're at their
Yeah,
party.
they were chirping. Yeah,
That's
it was
great.
bad.
That's the best case scenario, I would say.
Yeah.
Talking about our weekends, I want to give a quick shout out to Tony Ballsack and Angus.
Holy shit.
Frankie and I, so last Cyber Monday, we did a competition where if you spent X amount of dollars and you
$100,
$100, you enter yourself into a contest, and then we're going to draw a random name, and that person would then play golf with me and Frankie. So we made it happen on Friday. Me and Frankie played with Tony Ballsack and Angus out at Colonial. Had a great time. Really, two great guys. Those guys were. No, go ahead.
No, I'm like smiling ear to ear because this could have been a horrific thing. Like, you don't know who you're meeting. You're meeting someone on the internet that spent $100 on merchandise, which is fucking awesome. We're going to do this contest again this year. And I was saying, if you buy $100 of merch, your receipt goes into this system, and we're going to pick just one person out of the legit thousands and thousands of people, the names. We didn't know who they were come from. They came from California, North Dakota. These guys happened to be in Connecticut. They made the trip. Angus Reed and Anthony Testy, who we then called Tony Ballsack and Beef. Because of Angus. Angus said no one's ever called him Beef before in his whole life. How insane is that?
Got some super uncreative friends.
Right?
They call him Goose.
They call him Goose. I don't know what that means. He's got to be Beef forever. And then Tony Ballsack, he used to be called Balls forever, but now he's Tony Ballsack. I didn't know how this was going to go. I didn't know if these guys are going to be weird or not. We went to Colonial Springs. Holy shit. Couldn't have been nicer guys. We had a match of the century where it was Angus, it was Beef and Trent versus Tony Ballsack and myself, and it came down to the wire. And then Tony and myself played really good golf where we were crushing them. I was putting my fucking balls off.
Insane.
I think I put 7 times on the back 9. I just kept one putting everything. It was hilarious. If this was on video, it would have been like our best putting performance we've ever had in a foreplay video of all time. I must have had 300 feet worth of putts on the back 9. It was hilarious. Then we go to Borelli's. There's live music at Borelli's. We're sitting down. We got the Islanders on. They're playing against Carolina. So everyone was betting on the Islanders on the Barstool Sports book from when they were coming through New Jersey. They got that in. Then all of a sudden the World Series is on. We got live music. My mom was there. My sister was. It was just like, it was a fucking fun night, with just 2 strangers that now have become friends. Like, I genuinely would go text Angus and Tony and just be like, what are you guys doing tonight? How's it going? How's life going? I want to know how they're doing. You know what I mean? It's one of those amazing moments in our lives where we got to just meet these 2 dudes that cared a lot about playing golf with us. They came down, they stayed in a hotel, they went to fucking Dave & Buster's, they watched Thursday Night Football, they stayed the night after on Barres because they didn't want to drive home drunk and it was a long drive. They just made a trip out of it, man. And that's so special for us. These are fucking fans of foreplay, and they just wanted to be around us, and now we're legitimate friends. Legitimate friends.
That's the magic of golf. That's the magic of this game.
Yeah, that is the magic of golf.
It was great.
Really cool.
We had a really, really good day.
Shout out to golf.
And the Islanders won, and Josh Bailey scored, and Brock Nelson scored 2 goals.
Brock Nelson scored twice. I was screaming. I mean, they really got to see the real me. I was like kicking like shit around Borelli's, like just celebrating, throwing chairs and stuff. They're like, this guy's like out of control.
Yeah, you are. But it was a good time.
That's right. Love that.
I did watch a good amount of the LIV stuff because this was the last time we were. Sorry to bring it to golf. I know we then don't want to talk about that. But
No,
I'm gonna not today. Should I just
That's okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's the last LIV event until February, so I wanted to see what it was all about. It was the first time all year where like you could actually the team competition felt like it was a focus. That was something that bothered me about LIV all year was they spent all this time talking about how important the team competition is, how important the franchises are and them having identities and how they're going to turn this into Formula One. And then the team competitions themselves just felt like sideshows for the individual stuff. It wasn't nearly as much money. You never had the teams playing against each other, right? Like, that's what's good about the Ryder Cup is you've got USA and you've got Europe, and each foursome is 2 guys from the USA and 2 guys from Europe, and they play against each other. And it's the same thing in college golf when they play against each other. For the most LIV tournaments, it was just this guy's on this hole and this, and then you total them up at the end. So this was the first and only time that they really played against each other, and the only time the team stuff really took the front seat. And it was good action. I mean, here's what it is. It came down to Dustin Johnson and Cameron Smith, and they were playing together. And this is kind of, Riggs and I were sort of talking about this.
Well, there was like match play, right? Wasn't it match play for a lot of the week?
So the first 2 days were match play. So the top 4 teams got buys past the first round. Then the bottom 8 teams all played each other. And each match between 2 teams, there was 2 singles matches and 1 alternate shot match. So 3 points for each thing. You win 2 points, you advance. Then the final day, only 4 teams made it, and it was every guy plays his own ball and every score counts. So that was the format. And it was a good format. Like it was easy enough to follow, and you actually had the guys playing against each other. But what made it interesting was like at the end, it was 2 really good players, and you had to see who wins, and it was like an individual competition. You know what I mean? It was like who's going to make the putt. And I feel like the best other tournament they had was the one where DJ won in a playoff against Lahiri and against Joaquin Neiman. And it was just like, oh yeah, those are 2 great golfers or 3 great golfers playing against each other trying to win a playoff. none of the like good moments happen because of the team format. It's almost like their best bet to make good stuff would just be like, have a normal golf tournament. You guys have a lot of good players. That's probably going to be pretty decent to watch, but they have to try and be different in order to stand out, in order to survive. So they're in kind of this weird spot now where the team stuff, I felt like for the first year was basically a flop. No one gives a shit, but they're so invested in the team concept that it has to work.
Yeah, so I turned it on, like I said, for a bit one day. I was into the match play part of it, and if you can get over, if you're tuning in, you can get over the fact that there's no viable business model. They got $2 billion going out, $0 coming in. The only other justification for that is so Saudi Arabia could be horrific and not have anybody care about it. If you can get over all that and you're watching it a little bit on YouTube, which I was, match play is just king. Match play is fucking awesome. And when I was watching, I was texting Dan that it was hard for me to it was hard for me to hone in on anything in particular because there's so much going on and they got lights and music and there's different colors and the whole leaderboard at the same time and all the bullshit. It was a little bit hard to focus on important things or focus on anything when you're trying to focus on everything. That's like impossible. But the match play aspect of it was fucking cool. You had DJ going up against like a nobody, and the DJ team, the Aces, had actually gotten to choose their opponent. And at one point, it was like all 4 teams that had chosen their opponents because you basically, if you're a higher ranked team, you got to like draft who you wanted to play against. We're actually at one point losing.
Sorry, not to knock you off that. That I love. I wish
Cool.
professional sports do that because then you put a chip on the shoulder of the people that you pick. That I've always wished they would integrate that into major American sports.
Little shit like that was cool, exactly. And they were given the backstory, and you have Faraday and these guys that that are out there like doing it and making these calls. So I was kind of into it at that point. Doral, the holes at Doral, just from them having the tournament for years and years and years. So there's certain holes they go to that So it was kind of felt like, oh fuck, I'm in a golf broadcast right now with some shit on the line. You had Ian Poulter was playing Brooks Koepka in like a singles match. And so stuff like that where you're like, holy fuck, these guys are in a single. Poulter was like missed a couple putts and was like fucking rattled that he was losing, and you could tell that he was rattled. So you're like, okay, this is real. And I thought that the fact that you get match play almost instinctively or inherently creates a lot of the personal care about it that we have talked about is missing on the LIV broadcast, where they're kind of like laughing like, oh, we made all this money, because no matter who you are, like when Kevin Kisner loses to us in a 4-man scramble, him winning or losing doesn't actually mean anything in the universe ever, anywhere, ever. But he was pissed that he was losing and that he lost. And the rest of the day, you could see that he was upset that he lost because it's personal. It's 1 versus 1. You're a competitive motherfucker. You don't want to lose. And I think when you have match play, no matter where it is, even if we go out and we're playing for eliminate afterwards, like it doesn't matter what the stakes are. Like you want to win. You want to beat the other 2 guys. That's just what matters. And I thought that part of it was very clear to tell. The guys weren't just like giggling and laughing out there. Like they were locked into their matches, and it was fun to watch that aspect of it. Now, I did find it all like, somebody had like a big putt on the 9th hole. It's like Cam Smith. They cut to me, had like a 6-footer he must make to tie the hole. You could literally hear the music from like the driving range. You could hear it blaring as they're closing in on the shot. And I was just like, dude, even in the NHL, they play music in between puck drops, but then as soon as the face off, they stop playing music. It's like, you can't have music literally on and have a serious competition at the same time. Those 2 things are against each other. So it wasn't quite there, but I did find myself right next to when I was playing COD and PJ Tour 2K23. I had this on, and there were aspects of it where I was like, all right, I got fucking Sergio Garcia, and I got Dustin Johnson, and I got Cam Smith playing match play matches at Doral that they care about. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, is that they need to lean into that like combative nature if they're going to make this a team competition. And the way you do that is with match play. Before, when you have basically a team competition going on in the background of a stroke play golf tournament, it just doesn't hit. Like you're saying, there's no combative nature, there's no head-to-head aspect to it. They need to double down on this if they want to make this a team thing.
They should play all the fucking time.
They should have like one day that's match play at the end or something. I mean, I think you're right. I think that's how you get. And then there's like, oh, he didn't give him his putt back in Chicago, and now we're in Jeddah, and so fuck this guy. You need these teams to be playing against each other. The one thing I will say that I wrote about this in the Monday Morning Wrap, which you should read, barstoolsports.com every Monday. It went up at 12:30 today, so Monday afternoon wrap. But anyways,
Monday morning on the Central Time or West.
Yes.
Wrap.
It's a brunch wrap.
It's a brunch wrap. That's exactly right. The press conferences before, you guys saw those. It was like everyone was talking shit to each other. It was like Brooks was talking shit to Phil, was talking shit to Ian Poulter, was talking shit to Kevin Na. I get it, right? You want to basically LIV has tried to market itself as the anti-PGA Tour, where the PGA Tour zigs, they zag. So if they don't let you wear shorts, we'll let you wear shorts. They don't let you bring your content guys inside the ropes, we'll let you bring your content guys inside the ropes. You definitely don't get people talking like this on the PGA Tour where they're openly talking shit to each other. It sounded like the way, our listeners would talk to each other before a weekend round. But that's the problem. I don't like that. I don't like that it feels so casual. I don't like that it feels like, oh, we're all friends here. Everyone knows it's good-natured barbs. Like when you watch sports, you want the players to be really, really into it, to feel like everything matters, and to give those stupid answers in press conferences where they're saying, oh, he's a great player. It's going to take my best. I'm really looking forward to the competition. I don't want a guy being there like, oh, Brooks, like, you don't have a green jacket. And, like that just for me feels like an exhibition. It felt like the press conferences before Tiger played Phil or before Brooks played Bryson, where they need to do these like corny ass staged disses because the competition itself isn't enough for there to be any sort of buzz. So I don't think that these like corny, funny, like everyone in there is laughing and all the journalists are asking funny questions and everyone's like, oh, like I don't think that does any favors for them trying to market themselves as real serious competition.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it makes it more Mickey Mousey, Yep. But the only example I can ever think of where that actually occurred in the big tournament was when like Brooks chirped DJ before Harding Park final round and then actually played like shit and ended up not even being a factor when Colin won. But that never happens because
that wasn't a joke either. That was
real.
Yeah, right. That was real. And like you almost, like you're saying, nobody in their right mind would be talking really like shit publicly before a big golf tournament, golf match. Like that never happens because it's already so serious that you need to be locked in. Like you need to be taking every aspect of it seriously. You don't want to give them bulletin board material. You don't want the other guy to be more motivated because you've already got your hands full and you already care so much about this whole thing. That I agree with that. That's like it's a little bit like okay, they're forcing it. They're the
right, and then they're wearing shorts and they're playing music during that putt that Cameron Smith needs to make, and it's like. Besides all of the money, like what are we doing here? And I just had this image when they were spraying the champagne and the announcer's like, "This is golf, but louder." I'm like, we're gonna look back on this in 10 years and be like, was that a fever dream? Like, what happened? Like, how, did Dustin Johnson really take the Saudis for $150 million in 1 year? Like,
dude,
I think match plays the answer.
I do probably. Too. I liked the match play a lot. When they did the champagne pop in and and then the smoke shot up from the stage, I was like, are we at like an Avicii shot? Like, what the fuck is this? That was weird, man. That's just weird.
The whole thing, and I've said this from the beginning, I think I tweeted it when this first was going on. I need Will Ferrell to make a parody sports movie about this whole thing.
It felt like a parody when they were up there.
It's already a parody that you don't even have to write that much if you're writing that movie. You just take this Saudi-backed, flush with cash league and you just throw the most outrageous parties on private jets. You're 90% of the way there. You throw Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly, put Adam McKay as the director, and we got ourselves a movie.
Yeah, we do.
We got ourselves a hit. I mean, I want to this quote I saw from Pat Perez, and this is kind of how I feel about LIV in general. He said yesterday, all the pushback, all the negative comments, everything we've gotten. At this point, I don't really care. I mean, I don't care. I'm paid. I don't give a damn.
That's what it is. Wasn't he against?
That's Will Ferrell.
Everyone is there just being like, I'm super rich. I don't give a fuck what you guys think.
Wasn't Pat Perez like anti-LIV when he was on the PGA
he called
Tour
out
show?
Phil.
Yeah, he made some comments. He made plenty of comments being like, yeah, basically, no, I think that's messed up. The tour's like, that's the tour's created all your life and your livelihood.
Right.
And all that.
He always said like, we owe it to Tiger Woods. The reason why we even make life-changing money is because of Tiger Woods. If it wasn't for Tiger Woods, we wouldn't be able to do it. How could you go against Tiger Woods? All this stuff. And now he's just anti all of that. I mean, that's like pathetic by Pat Perez, if we're being honest. I saw someone tweeted us that they had, and this may be false. I mean, this is just a guy tweeting, but someone tweeted us that they screamed out to
Shout out
Pat as he was
Ben
walking by on at the LIV event, being like, "Hey, you gonna go on the foreplay show?" And he said, "Fuck no, fuck those guys," as he kept walking.
Is that true?
Yeah, I guess
Who
Pat
knows?
Perez was like, "I'll fucking never go back on that show. Fuck those guys." It's like, are you really that butthurt that like we have people that are just like talking about the league that you're in, that you shared the same opinions as us as like 3 months ago? I mean, what are you talking about, Pat?
Oh, every time we were with Pat, it felt like he was very just shooting the shit. He's very loyal to the PGA Tour and all the Tiger stuff that you were saying. Yeah, I don't know if that actually happened.
Is Pat Perez the fakest person in golf then? That's my question.
Do we know if that's real? I don't know. I don't know. Do we? Because he's been great. He's been texting me throughout the whole thing and like responding to stuff that we say and everything. So I would be very surprised if he said that.
Yeah, I would be surprised too. But I mean, I did see it, and I could see him being very anti anyone that's talking about it. With the quotes of him saying like "fuck anyone that really cares." I'm the one that got paid, and I don't care anymore. He was not tooting that same tune last year. That's a fact.
I've gotten to a point with this where like the opinions of people on both sides at the beginning, I'm sure they have changed with the lawsuits and the us versus them mentality. Like, I'm sure that guys' opinions have changed on both sides. Like, if you're at the PGA Tour, you were initially like, yeah, I mean, I got nothing against it. Like, they're going to get their money. That's, where this is a job, we're in it to make money. Boom, a lawsuit drops, and then the tone changes. And then once the tone changes on one side, the tone is going to change on the other side to the point where it becomes this catfighting that is, people are just going to say things that they didn't think they were going to say originally.
Yeah, the lawsuit changed everything. The first lawsuit from the LIV guys against the PGA
Everything's
Tour.
Cool till somebody sues you.
That's what it was. Remember, we were asking Tommy about this like right after the President's Cup when we had him and Tom Kim on the same show. Shout out to the Toms. And he was like, yeah, it was all cool. They were going to get their money, and then they turned around and sued us, and that kind of changed things because, money is involved. But I've been at these LIV events, and it's such an us versus them mentality. It's crazy because they're being ostracized in the media, and these guys already surround themselves with yes men. And then you have all these LIV executives who are telling them like the media is out to get you. The PGA Tour has been taking advantage of you. They've been underpaying you, and they've given you shit tee times, and this has all been wrong. And so a lot of these guys really do believe that they are these trailblazers who are fighting the good fight, basically. And so, yeah, it's really like tribal at this point. You're either a LIV guy or a PGA Tour guy. Phil said it last week. He's like, you got to pick a side in this thing, and it's wild that it's gotten to this
Which
point.
Is great.
That's where we are.
That's like best case scenario for us. That there's.
You think so?
Yeah, that there's people have to pick sides publicly.
Yeah.
Like that. There's animosity between two different tours. It's fucking great.
Right. I've always branded myself on this show as a headline guy, and these are the headlines. Like, if you had said to me 24 months ago, like, hey man, there's going to be a rival league that pops up, grabs a bunch of top tier, big name talent, and the two leagues end up hating each other, I would have had a rock hard boner talking about that.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And now,
no, it's
yeah. And now here we are, and it's sometimes
How's that boner?
Sometimes you get caught in the weeds of it, which the weeds are pretty important, and like there's some horrific shit going on in the weeds. But like from just a vantage point of, we are people who cover a sport where there is a division right now, it's pretty fucking nuts.
I've been on CNN like 25 times in the last year. I was never on CNN before. You know what I mean? Like, and people are saying, "Oh, are you tired of talking about this LIV stuff?" This is the greatest thing that ever happened to me. I mean, from a media perspective, because I was already so bored after 2 years of writing about birdies and bogeys. You can only write so many stories that are like, this guy sucked and then he changed something and now he doesn't suck anymore. This has given us something to analyze and something to talk about that has been spicy.
Right.
Yeah,
and
it's injecting a little NBA into PGA Tour. It's like a
this
little
league.
bit of like drama. It's this league type shit.
Right, and I've largely been pretty anti-LIV in terms of like the opinions that I have on the show. But the fact of the matter is I'm pretty sure I can't change anything. I don't think the things that I say are directly going to
He's been washed.
Make change happen. So from that vantage point, I'm now just a watcher of the landscape of the game of golf, and in that respect, it's like, this is crazy and it's super interesting.
You've been sports washed. That's what Will Bardwell will tell you. You've been
Probably.
washed.
I don't know. They LIV has certainly injected themselves and made themselves a part of the golf world to a point that I did not think that it would get. And I don't know what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to just ignore it and act like it's not happening? Then people will say, what the fuck? You're so pro PGA Tour that you're turning a blind eye to this rival league that is clearly making waves. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to talk about it because it's a thing that's happening.
It is. I mean, you've got the number 3 ranked player in the world is out there like playing a golf course and matches against other, like you're going to, we're going to talk about it. I don't know. I haven't gone to any live events. I don't plan on going to any, but I'm going to talk about it.
One thing I will say,
I want to talk about it. I'm going to fucking talk about it.
Right.
I don't know if Cameron Smith is the best player in the world, but those hypotheticals where it's like if you needed someone to shoot 64 or something to save your life, I think I would choose Cameron Smith. Because between the 10 birdies that he made in the final round of the Players, between him chasing down and leapfrogging Rory McIlroy on Sunday of the Open Championship, and then his 65 yesterday at Doral, which is a really, really hard golf course, that guy, when he knows, all right, there's one round and I got to go out there and shoot something low, he's able to do it probably better than anyone right now.
Did you
he
guys
just pours in putts. When you pour in putts, man, it's like it's what you want. 42%, almost half of men experience moderate to extensive hair loss in their lifetime. Facts. I experienced that. It's not great.
Frankie, a couple weeks ago, you said you didn't know how my hair is. What do you think?
I think it's really good. I think it's good. Mine, I think, is still holding on. I think I'm definitely moving back in the corners, and it's showing off my feminine forehead more, but I think it's still holding on. It's just getting gray.
I've got a serious gap forming in the back of my head. It's bad. I see it when we put out videos and I'm like, oh, I'm excited to watch this video that we made. And then I just see the crater, hairless crater in the back of my head.
Guess what, Trent? There are options available to help stop balding in its tracks. The sooner a person starts treatment for hair loss, the easier it is to keep the hair that they have. Roman offers both prescription medication and over-the-counter treatments. Research shows that 80% of men who use prescription hair loss treatment had no further hair loss after 2 years. Getting started is simple. Complete a free online visit. Then a U.S. licensed healthcare professional will work with you to find the best treatment plan for you. If medication is appropriate, Roman ships it directly to you in discreet packaging with free 2-day shipping. The whole process straightforward, and discreet treatments start at $20 per month on a quarterly plan. Right now, Roman has a special offer for our listeners. Use this link, and you're going to get 20% off your first order. You go to, I believe that is ro.co/foreplay today. That's ro.co/foreplay for 20% off. That's ro.co/foreplay for 20% off.
Did you guys happen to be watching the LIV event when Phil hopped on the broadcast? Because I did not, but I heard rave reviews. Like, Phil obviously has had a weird last couple months, like a year now at this point, where he's very sheepish and he's very, tail between the legs press conferences. But I heard that his appearance on the LIV broadcast was like charismatic and like old Phil.
He's back. He's been like that in the press conferences when he was talking shit to the PGA Tour. Like that period of time where you said, right, where he had his tail between his legs after the Shipnuck stuff, that's over. Phil's
first interview was
back.
Brutal.
Oh, the one at the U.S. Open? That was like physically
that was
cringeworthy. Yeah, I was there. That was not fun.
And also, that's like Phil, that's a career that he could have had. I don't know if he can still have it. Like on the PGA Tour side and that part of it, he was destined to take that chair and be that guy. Right. And now it's obviously we're in a whole different spot, but it's interesting that he still has that and still is able to do it. And it's just sitting out there, but now he's part of this rogue league where that future isn't necessarily there anymore.
All right. Now that LIV's first season is in the books and you've been able to take everything into account, what is your thoughts right now on this is Halloween. Happy Halloween, by the way, everybody. What are your thoughts on going into the next 4 majors next year? Do you think these guys will be allowed in? And if not, what's the plan?
Yeah, it's a good question. The RNA, the head of the RNA, who's the head of the Open Championship, Peter Dawson, basically said this week that they're not going to ban anybody and that their mission is to have the best players playing in their tournament.
Wow.
Which I think was kind of the most sort of pro-LIV comments that anyone in a position of power like that has made, which is basically saying, look, we're golf fans here. We know that Dustin Johnson and Cameron Smith are some of the best players in the world. We want them to play in our tournament. So there's no chance that they're banned. Now, could they continue with this sort of shadow banning, which would basically be like, we're going to go by the official World Golf rankings, which all those guys are tumbling down. I mean, DJ's like in the 30s now, which is kind of laughable given how well he's played. They could do that, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's some like the top 5 finishers and lives this, get into the majors. I really wouldn't be surprised if that happens, because if they can brand themselves as the 4 times a year when everyone plays against each other, that's good for them from a marketing perspective.
It's the best marketing for a major that's ever happened.
They become the Champions League of golf, and that even further insulates them as being above these normal tour events.
Well, yeah.
This is like what the PGA Championship has always needed, really, is like a reason to like, they should actually say it's going to be LIV versus PGA Tour. That should be their thing. We've always said they need a lane.
We're giving their tee times. It's all mixed. It's all mixed with LIV PGA
It should be just the animosity major.
That'd be great. I don't hate that.
Isn't there something going on with Augusta and the PGA Tour and the feds?
Yeah, the feds are now looking into so there's this big antitrust case against the PGA Tour, and it's now been broadened to include the USGA, the PGA of America, and Augusta National, which basically means the feds want to see all these communications between the PGA Tour and Augusta, which could lead to some pretty spicy, because most of the majors, especially early on, were kind of vocally against LIV Golf. They said it's not good for the game. If the PGA Tour kind of fed them that or told them to say that, I'm not saying they did, I don't know, that could get them in some hot water. So again, this is just beginning.
Why could that get them in hot water? That's my question.
That's collusion. Because it's collusion.
Collusion to do what?
To shun out a potential competitor, to maintain your oligopoly.
So basically they're saying like you basically have a monopoly, and you are going behind the scenes with others to protect your monopoly by stifling a new competitor to that monopoly.
That was a Harvard answer, precisely.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to get it actually. So interesting. I just would. To me, in my brain, that shouldn't be illegal. That shouldn't be illegal if like the PGA Tour hits up the Masters and is like, hey, like, yeah, these guys are, for whatever reason, we don't like what's going on there. What are you doing? Are you going to like help us? Not necessarily like if the tour obviously was like behind the scenes paying money under the table for them to do X, Y, or Z, I could see that being illegal. But in communications, if they're like, what's your plan? We would really like it if you did this. That to me shouldn't, I'd be surprised if that's illegal.
There's obviously some line that I don't know where it is.
Right, because to me that's like gathering allies. That's like that's Raniero, going to House Stark and being like, you got to be on our side here, and just like.
But if it's as black and white as like, if LIV makes the argument that their players playing in that major solidifies or makes them what they want to be, and that their competitor is stopping them from doing that, I feel like that probably is towing a line of trying to keep your monopoly into being illegal. You know what I mean?
Definitely a line.
It's not.
We just don't know where the line is. Yeah, Frankie, you're getting dominated.
I'm getting crushed by this fucking light, man, and it's like it's killing me right now.
I spoke to an antitrust lawyer about this a few weeks ago. What is that noise?
That's just my fucking squeaky ass seat.
No, it sounds like some music bumping.
Sorry, some website just started playing music. Oh. I talked to an antitrust guy, and he basically said like, it's not illegal to have a monopoly if you just have like a better product. Right? So that's what the tour can kind of say is like, we're protecting our product. In order to be in violation of antitrust rules, you have to act unlawfully to maintain your monopoly. And I'm not sure if, like you said, trying to rally your allies is illegal or if that's just trying to protect your product.
That's what I'd be surprised by. But I guess if they go to a certain length, right, of like, here's the message, you need to say this publicly, I could see that crossing the line. But if they're just communications are like, hey, we're trying to make sure, we protect what we've got here. These guys are bad actors in the space. It's going to hurt golf long term. So if, where like that type of communication, I feel like would be fine. But yeah, I don't know how they I guess it's up to like a judge to basically define what's going to be wrong and not in that
right. Like,
case.
I don't know, like who has those answers? Like you ask a lawyer and it's all probably precedent, right? Like this is what would happen in the past. And so this is how we're going to proceed in the future.
Right.
I just like if I'm thank God for lawyers. It's just like they go through all this shit, they go through all the paperwork, and they ultimately have to come to a decision. Now, it's probably, if it's a PGA Tour lawyer, they're going to have one opinion. If it's a LIV lawyer, they're going to have another opinion. It's just, I don't know how they ever get to a resolution and shit like this.
I don't know how regular people are put in charge of making these decisions. Like I have a buddy who's in corporate insurances, and like he's one of my really good friends, and I listen to him on the call sometimes cause he's dealing with lawyers, and they're like, is this gonna fall under this claim? Is this gonna fall under this insurance? And I got just my 29-year-old buddy being like, yeah, I think that we can probably cover that, make sure that's in the writing. I'm like, if that's now like the wrong thing, he has to talk with lawyers for days about if that should be under this insurance claim, and like if this does happen, and you're talking like airports and billion-dollar deals, like how the fuck do they even come up with these answers? Who the hell is sitting in a room being like, you know what, that is collusion? Like, is it one person? Is it 30 people? Do they take a vote?
It's a whole litigation department of these big law
one
firms,
judge that's like,
yup,
that was wrong.
Yeah, I think
the
judge.
The judge comes down to like, oh, I know this judge, or he's in this jurisdiction, and I know like it in my understanding of all of this, and not just LIV PGA Tour, but like legislation in general and legal cases, is that there's never a right answer. It's just who has the most compelling argument, and it goes to a favorable judge, and then that's it. It's fucking crazy.
And what's crazy is you would think that all these contracts forever, like as they're writing these contracts up, they're taking into account all of these things that could possibly happen. Like that's why I feel like LIV is having such trouble, and they want to fight it, because they probably did in their contracts say at some point that these guys will be able to do other stuff like playing the majors. Like, wouldn't you think that those players would have signed on thinking they have the right to go play?
They were told that they were going to get world ranking points by now. That's
right.
Sort
so
of
that is where like crazy legal stuff comes in. Now you have like breach of contracts that like players thought that this was what they were going to get, but the PGA Tour is now maybe colluding with like the world ranking people, saying like you can't give them points.
From that aspect of it, like I think Saudi Arabia is going to be like, oh, you don't like your contract? You think we violated your contract? We won't pay you your $100 million. Fine. Like, it's like, what are they?
Right.
The spiciest thing that could happen, and this thing's already spicy, is if a LIV guy tries to defect back to the PGA Tour.
We need someone to go back. You're so
We
right.
really do. That would be like...
We need one guy out there to just say,
it'll happen.
You think so? Dude, I don't. Think that's going to happen.
At some point, it'll happen. I don't know that it's going to be soon, but you got to think at some point, someone's going to defect back. Someone's going to be they're going to have an issue. They're going to, like you're saying, their contract, they're going to be pissed about. They're not going to be getting into the tournaments or going the way that they wanted to go. And they're going to be like, I'm out.
And then
at that point, then we might get them to talk. And
right. Dude, imagine if Jay Monahan held a press conference today and he said, we got one spot. We got one spot open for the first guy that defects. We will take away the ban. You can join the PGA Tour. It would be like nothing happened. We got one spot open. One of you guys comes back.
That'd be great.
You can have your card. We'll act like none of this ever happened, but we're only got one spot. So decide amongst yourselves, talk to your people. We need an answer in 48 hours.
Do you think anyone would do it?
Yes.
Do they have to give their money back? Do they have to give their money back?
That's a good question.
Because if they don't have to give their money back, I think Pat Perez might do it. He just picked up $18 million. You can just go back now, and that's it.
Maybe for the safety of everyone involved, maybe give the money back.
Problem is that's not up to the tour in this scenario.
I think Jay Monahan has the most cushiony job right now in America, because you just can't get rid of this guy while this is all going on, right? There's no way the PGA Tour can get rid of Jay Monahan.
Yes and no. I also think that he's come under like a lot of scrutiny that normally it's like the PGA Tour, the commissioner of the PGA Tour is just kind of like a smile and hand out the trophy job.
I know, but you could just say like, in it so deep that like if you brought in a new voice, it would also be terrible optics. Like
it's a show of weakness. It's a weakness show.
Like he's in such shit that you just can't get rid of him right now.
Greg Norman was tweeting out like memes of him. And shit.
Oh my god, Greg Norman would go crazy.
It'd be like I just think that if the PGA Tour changed the head of their tour during this, it would look like they lost, and then that would be the ultimate I lose move.
But also, let's say that the scenario that I laid out maybe happens, where Jay Monahan says we got one spot. That definitely, like him advocating for someone to breach their contract is another lawsuit. Like it's
100%.
just the most red tape possible. with all of this stuff.
Well, what's stopping a guy from just leaving LIV and going back to PGA Tour right now?
He has a contract with LIV that says I'm going to play this many events in order to get this money.
He just stops that and just goes, I'm done.
Then they won't pay him his money.
Right, but like my point is, like, does the PGA Tour need to have this thing that Trent's saying where like he has one spot available, or can like Brooks Koepka just rip up his contract and just be like, I'm just going to go get my card again and just play on the PGA Tour? Does he need to be pardoned?
Because I think right now in the state that we're in, if a guy were to do that, there's no guarantee that he can go back to the PGA Tour.
So even if they have no contract with LIV, we think that they can't go back because they did this. I would think
that's what we're saying. We need to see it. We just don't know.
That's why what the one spot does is it motivates people. There's one of these guys or two or three of these guys in the back of their heads is probably thinking, did I make the right choice? And then if that answer is no, then a one spot ultimatum motivates them and like, this is my chance to get back.
Man, I think if these guys are going to be able to play in the majors next year, that you're going to get 10 more guys going over of like the top 30
Aren't there
best
no more
players in the
spots
world.
available?
No, so there's a couple of spots. It sounds like they're going to have 60 players so they can have like subs, even though it's only 48.
Wouldn't they bounce guys out?
Yeah, and that's
too?
the thing. Like if they can sign Xander Schauffele or Patrick Cantlay or whatever, one of these big players, then they'll find space for him. I think.
Be like a payout. It'd be like a
buyout.
baseball team buying out your guy. Just like, you're gone.
Yeah, just be like, this guy's a lot better than you. I think you're right, Frankie. I think there's definitely going to be guys who are like, I don't know how long this is going to be a thing. I don't know how long they're going to be willing to pay this crazy money without any money coming in. I'll take my $100 million now, and then it'll sort itself out in 2 or 3 years down the road.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, you're just retired with $100 million.
That's the thing is like the money cashes. It's real money.
I think Jay needs to hold a press conference today.
And that is still, and you still get to itch that competition part of your brain where you're like, I still get to play against the best players in the world 4 times a year in the majors. I just don't have to play the St. Jude Classic anymore.
Well, that's
and I get $100 million. You know what I mean? It's just
that's
like,
the ultimate wake up call.
Care.
That's the ultimate wake up call for the PGA Tour, where it's black and white plain that the only tournaments that matter are the majors.
The question is too really going to be how they get into the majors, right? Because it might not be the majors banning them, but like if they're not getting world ranking points and you drop outside the top 50, which a lot of these guys clearly are, and then like you haven't finished in the top 5 or 10 in one of the majors in the last couple of years or whatever it is, like then it's not that the majors would be like you're banned, they'd be like you didn't qualify for
eligible.
This major.
That's what we said. It's like a shadow ban. It's like a shadow ban.
Yeah, it's like you're not playing. Like I don't know what to tell you. If you're a mid-level guy, even on LIV, like you're not qualifying for the majors, right? Like how would you qualify for the majors? How would you get into the majors?
Right.
Well, they would have to create like a top, how every guy who makes a tour championship gets into all 4 majors. Maybe they do that for LIV, where the top 5 or 7 guys already getting majors. I'm not sure, but they could do it just that way.
I could see top 5 or 7, but I'm saying if you're 25th guy on LIV,
yeah, you play
you're
final
not playing
qualifying
in a major.
You try and qualify.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
For the ones you
it is
can.
like the best of both worlds for the majors. They get to just say yes, and then the guys probably don't even get in.
What's the latest that Augusta can hold off until they have to make a decision?
Couple weeks, right? Don't they do the cutoff like a couple weeks before?
I think they send out invites in January.
Right.
Their first batch of invites, but they can do whatever they want. They're Augusta National. But again, there's like 7 former Masters champions who
Is
are
Phil
LIV
Mickelson
guys.
not getting an invitation to
Bubba
Augusta
Watson,
National?
Dustin Johnson. Come on now.
Phil didn't play this year in the Masters, which is still
I know.
feels nuts that he didn't play. And he
That
didn't play
was
in the PGA.
because of his own decision, right? Like he was taking time off.
I think it was
Murky
The guy called him and was like, "Hey, so you're not going to play this year, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm not going to play this year."
or he was already sure that he was making the jump and he didn't want to answer any questions. I don't know.
I'm getting my timeline mixed up. Was it the jump or did the Shipnuck quotes come out right before the Masters?
That came out in February. Yeah,
Yeah, so that's what did him in for sure.
yeah. That's when went into hiding.
he agreed with the LIV people that my next start will be wherever their first event was.
Yeah,
That's what a lot of people were thinking because he didn't play PGA either, and then the next week he played the LIV opener.
Right.
Right. Didn't play as the defending champion at the PGA Championship.
I think my opinion is that if the quote never comes out, I think Phil plays in the Masters last year for sure. I think that was
You're looking a lot like JT right now.
damage.
you
right
I'm
now.
starting to see it.
You look a lot like Justin
these
Thomas
days.
right now. Like in this pose, you look a lot like Justin Thomas.
I don't know what to tell you. 2 good looking guys.
LIV Golf.
Interesting stuff.
Oh, I wanted to say something that I couldn't say before.
Let's do it.
Sure.
I've been wanting to say this, and I couldn't say it in my old job. The HBO Max app is fucking terrible. It is horrific, horrendous. I couldn't say it before because Golf Digest is owned by Discovery, which also Warner Bros. Discovery owns HBO Max. It's the worst app in the world, and I'm so frustrated that I can't fast forward.
What's going on with your HBO app?
If I try and rewind like once or twice, then it's just done. Just taps out, finished on Roku. So I saw
Holy Mick used to complain about that all the time. That he was like, HBO has all this money, it's the biggest shows ever, and they just can't figure out how to get it.
My HBO Max app is fine. I don't think I ever have any issues.
I'm actually watching a Discovery Plus show right now that is fantastic, but I noticed that some weird thing happened where it just like it went to the next episode, and then I was in the middle of episode 2, and I watched for 5 minutes. I'm like, something's off right now. And then I clicked down, and it was like I was 35 minutes into episode 2. It's called The Offer with Miles Teller. It's all about how The Godfather was written.
Oh, I heard it's really good.
Oh, Honey Balls told me about that.
Bro, it's kind of like the first episode and the first couple of episodes is like everything's happening so fast and you're just like, wow, I wish this was like not happening so fast. But I guess they have to get to certain parts. It's really, if you just watch it for what you want to watch it for, which is just like Godfather type shit, it's really, really cool. And there's some really good characters in it. Like Frank Sinatra's in it. It's fucking good. It's really, really cool.
Do we got
2 episodes in?
Do we have White Lotus people on the podcast?
I watched White Lotus last night. What a fucking episode.
I haven't watched it.
Me either. I watched the last one, but I haven't watched this one.
It kind of slipped my mind. I got to get back into like.
You got to watch it tonight.
Yeah. I'll probably watch it tonight. So the first season of White Lotus was beautiful, fantastic. So I'm very excited to watch season 2. It's in Italy, right?
Yep.
Okay. We also got to take a moment.
What's it called? When there's different actors.
An ensemble.
Well, no, like it's
an anthology.
Anthology. I didn't think I'd like that because I loved the characters in White Lotus season 1, and I guess I know why they couldn't do it because a lot of stuff happened at the end of season 1. But wow, really good. Right from the jump, you're like, "Yep, we're just in Italy now, and now I'm invested in this now."
Yes.
Yeah, no, dude, Trent, you're gonna like first 10 minutes, you're like, "Yep, I'm just back in White Lotus." Like, I don't care that it's all new people.
I don't have any qualms about that.
Fucking awesome.
We got to acknowledge that the last time we were together, we were like, all right, we're going to talk about Thrones at the end. So anyone who wants to you can skip it. And then we just completely forgot to talk about Thrones.
It was a great season finale.
That's what the show is about, man. We do that. We've said we're going to do From the Gallery 1,000 times. So we've done it like, I don't know, 50.
I got to get downstairs. This is my first year with trick-or-treaters at my new house. So I got to get down there and make sure I give out some candy. I got a bunch of good candy.
What kind of candy? Let's make sure that you're not.
Well, you ate half of it, so you know exactly what kind of candy.
Well, I know there's no Milk Duds in your house.
You ate all the Milk Duds, but we replenished Milk Duds. We got Whoppers. We got big, life size or full size chocolate bars for like special kids for the special for anyone that's really if you wore like a really special costume, like if you're like, wow, this kid went fucking all in this year. Like if I'm gonna be basically doing like my own little contest.
I don't think you're out there, you're like, okay,
I'm literally gonna be like, nah. Like if I don't think they did a good job,
crazy.
I'm giving them the smaller piece. But I have these big full bars of Hershey's, classic full bars, Hershey's,
parents'
Kit Kats,
worst nightmare,
Reese's, like the big Reese's. And if I see a fucking really good costume, bang, it's going right in his fucking bucket.
You are. You're gonna have kids walking around with their parents. Their parents like got this costume for them, dressed them up, and you're gonna be like, nah.
Fun size Snickers.
They're gonna be like, Mommy, I told you this.
They won't even know because they don't. You know why? They're not even gonna care that.
Can't even give me the big life size.
They won't even know that the life size one's there. They won't even know.
How about this though? 2 kids walk up. They're friends.
One's
got a great costume. One's a ghost with eyes.
One put a bed sheet over their head.
Yeah, with eyes.
I'm giving the one who didn't care. I'm giving him a little life fun size Snickers. I'm making him turn. All right, get out of here. And I'm holding the other kid back, saying, "Here, good job. Just hide this from him."
You're already having a ranking system with the candy that you give out on Halloween is just too involved. It's too involved.
Well, at least I'm not like my parents. My mom gives out fucking pretzels, man. Come on. I used to fucking hate when she did that. Pretzels and Doritos. I know there's like a time and place where you need like that. It's all chocolate. But come on. I think I heard that she was maybe giving out veggie strips, and I got to go there. I got to make a phone call. Like, We can't be the house that's giving out veggie strips.
No,
you know what I
no,
mean?
no.
It's a good little
You're
thing.
gonna get TP tomorrow if you do.
Come on, we can't be giving out veggie straws.
When do you think that's going to start? What time? What time are the kids starting to show up?
I don't know. I have my Simply Safe app ready to go. I've been looking outside and I haven't seen anyone walk by. But, we're in a village. We're in like a town. You got to think that there's going to be a lot of kids walking around. Hopefully they come this way down the street.
You're going to meet probably a lot of your neighbors? You probably meet some neighbors today?
Yeah, I met a couple neighbors. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do.
There's no
Are you going to be dressed up for this?
I have a nice hoodie that I'm going to wear. It's just like, it's just a big fucking cat and a pumpkin. So,
all right.
I really hope that they're not going to do it through my apartment, right?
I don't think so. I was just thinking that, trying to think we're safe.
I got nothing. I'm gonna turn. I'll mute the TV and I'll sit
turn the lights off. Yeah,
I'll give the kid a Zin.
Peter Millar shirts.
Right. I got some coffee. I'll pour him a cup of coffee.
You can have a peppermint Zin if you want, but other than that, we're pretty empty over here.
You wouldn't play a tennis instructor to improve your putting game. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Only Chris. Yeah, I wouldn't.
I got I went to Sport Clips today. How do I look today?
You went to Sport Clips.
I did. Yeah, I got a haircut today.
I can tell. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect.
Nice. The whole point is that you would go to an expert to improve your putting. So why would you want to get your hair cut by someone not trained in men's hair? You wouldn't. That's why you should go to the stylist at Sport Clips, because they've got you covered, which is what Trent's done. They're specifically at Sport Clips trained to deal with guys' hair, so you can sit down in the chair with confidence. While you're there, ask for the MVP haircut experience. Haircut. It comes with a hot steam towel infused with a blend of essential oils, lavender, chamomile, eucalyptus, and all especially formulated for your relaxation. Sport Clips, they are the pros in men's hair. Again, it would not make much sense to go to someone, if you are a man looking for a man's haircut, with someone who's an expert in men's haircuts, to go to someone who isn't. So do yourself a favor. Go to Sport Clips. They are the pros in men's hair.
I don't know if we're still recording, but I just had something come across my desk from CNN that I've been tagged in 50 times.
What?
Astronomers have spotted 3 near-Earth asteroids that were lurking undetected within the glare of the sun. One of the asteroids is the largest potentially hazardous object to Earth to be discovered in the last 8 years. They are calling it the Planet Killer, and it has been spotted hiding in the sun's glare. This is like breaking news out of this world on CNN right now.
Dude, what?
Yeah.
Is this how I'm going to find out that
I was
this
going to
place
say,
is going?
this it? Yeah, like, is that the big piece of news
Bro,
that
I
we've all
told
been
you
dreading
this
forever?
glare, if it just comes from behind the sun, it's over.
When did you tell us that? When did you tell me that?
When that movie Don't Look Up came out, they were like, you're just never gonna be able to see these things. Like, if they're behind the sun's glare, it's over. It's gonna be
on their
like
website. What, they don't have any bloggers that can get this shit up fast, where it's only on Twitter?
This is the scenario that we talked about, where first they put out the Don't Look Up movie, where it's like, that's interesting. Like, it could happen. Asteroids, they're entering our atmosphere more than we know. And then, a couple months ago, they shot the rockets at it to destroy it, so it didn't hit. And now we have...
Why is she smiling while she's reading this?
She's literally... I'm watching this.
Why is she smiling?
The words underneath her is, Planet Killer Asteroid has been spotted hiding in the sun's glare, and she's smiling, telling the news.
Is this girl out to lunch? What is wrong with her?
Largest potentially hazardous object to be discovered in 8 years. I mean, hopefully this thing just doesn't come near us, but it's one of those things where it's like, one of these days, it's over, dude. It's absolutely over.
Planet Killer is
one of the asteroids called 2022 AP7 is 0.9 miles wide.
Oh, that's too big, man.
That's way too
and
big.
has an orbit that could bring it within Earth's path in the future.
Great.
But it's difficult for scientists to know when. Our
Great.
Twilight survey is scouring the area within the orbits of Earth and Venus for asteroids. So far, we found 2 large near-Earth asteroids that are about 1 kilometer across, a size that we call planet killers.
Oh.
You're telling me this thing is like an outfielder that can't catch a baseball because they're looking into the sun? That's why we can't see these things?
Scientists don't
elementary
know
way
the
for everything
asteroid's
to
orbit
end.
with enough
Fuck have
precision to
we
say
been
how
doing for
dangerous it could
2,000
become
years?
in the future. But for now, it will stay well away from Earth.
Okay.
They
Look at
don't
this.
know when it's coming
Feels
back.
like they buried
says-
the lead there.
Dude, it says the asteroids belong to a group found within the orbits of Earth and Venus, but they're incredibly difficult to observe because the brightness of the sun shields them from telescope observations. Like, our telescopes are like covering their fucking eyes trying to
Turn
see
the
these
brightness
things. What are
down.
we talking about? What?
Yeah,
They
just
can
turn the
see
brightness
fucking
down.
spots across other suns 10 billion light years away, and they're like, oh, that's a planet that could have life on it. These things are between us and the sun, and the sun's glare is too bright.
It would be and I quote, it would be a mass extinction event like hasn't been seen on Earth in millions and millions of
Where's
years.
Dr. Eric Smith? Where's he at? That's our guy's name, right? From NASA? Does
There
he
was a
know about
moment
these?
there. There was a moment there when Frankie was reading that off where I was thinking in my head, I can't believe Frankie's the guy who's breaking this news to me. Like, I met this guy however long ago, and I didn't know that eventually he would be the guy who
To say the world's
told me
over.
that the planet was going to explode
During the golf podcast.
during a golf podcast. Wow.
All right, well, that's the podcast, and we'll see you later. Everybody be safe.
Assuming this asteroid stays put.
Jesus Christ.
Be
man.
safe,
She's
or
smiling
or do
through
whatever
the
you
whole
want because
thing.
it's
She's
about to be
smiling
over.
through it.
Bye-bye.
I can't get over it. She's so happy about it. It's crazy. All right, hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Like the asteroid's going to hit us hard.
All right, folks, we're joined today by someone who I instantly get like some childhood throwbacks from watching TV, watching the Springer Show. Steve Wilkos joins the show, security guard, Marine Corps veteran, Chicago Police Department veteran. So you got a crazy life, crazy story, and like I said, I've been watching you for a long time. So welcome to the show. We're happy to have you.
I love being on.
How so obviously I believe you've been doing your own show now for 15 years. Is that right?
Yeah, we're taping season 16 right now.
Is it ever just crazy to you that you're from your dad to your life? It was a lot of, again, military, law enforcement. You were in law enforcement when you eventually got the job with Jerry Springer. And now here you are, you've been in show business. It feels like forever. Is that ever just crazy to you?
Yeah, it's crazy every time I think about it because, I tell the story of when the Springer Show was at its height, in the late 90s, we went out to do the movie Austin Powers 2. And I remember
Ever heard of it?
So good.
We're big
So
Austin Powers
good.
podcast. We're
So
a big
good.
Austin Powers. We actually talked about this last week, how much we love Austin Powers.
Yeah. So, we're out there and we're out in LA and we're in this trailer that's just decked out with like booze and food. And, it's really comfortable. And I remember like looking out the window of the trailer or RV or whatever the hell it was, and seeing like this long packed cattle line of extras, and they're all, there to make no money. They got to stand in line, and here, I've never ever a day in my life tried to be in the entertainment world, and I'm, going to get a credit on a major movie, and I didn't have to audition. I didn't have to do anything. And here I'm in TV, and I never tried to be in TV. And all these poor saps are trying their hardest to get their break in the entertainment world. And I just go, man, something's not right about that.
It's such a cool and unique way that you got into it. I mean, at that time, right, I'm born in 87. So for me, it was like when I was 13, 14, 15, you're starting to get into TV. You're starting to like change year by year as a person a lot. And I remember we were obsessed with the Springer Show. And at the time, I mean, we didn't have internet at that point. It wasn't quite around yet. We didn't have a billion channels on TV. You had like, especially later at night, you had like 4 channels where there was shit that was on TV. So I would watch you over and over and over again. Was it like, did you realize that you guys were part of a phenomenon at the time? Because there was nothing like it, I feel like.
Yeah, we really did, because it really was the craziest time of my life, because Jerry became the biggest star in the world for that period of time. And it just, like I said, when you're getting offers to be in like Austin Powers 2, which Austin Powers, the first one, was such a huge hit, you just knew, like, and then we were doing every talk show in the world, and we were getting bit parts on sitcoms and Mad TV and all that. So yeah, we knew it was, a huge deal. And and just we're talking about a talk show that, like in the 90s, the Chicago Bulls tickets were like impossible to get. So were Springer tickets, and it was a talk show. Like, like we tape in Stamford, Connecticut, which isn't Chicago like we used to. And man, we're begging people to come to the show. Springer back in the day, like people were begging me like to get tickets. And so yeah, it was just really crazy time.
For the people who don't know, how did you get started with Springer? Because you mentioned that this was never a goal of yours. It wasn't like you fancied yourself an entertainer, at night. So how did you start this crazy journey that's taken you to year 16 of your own show now?
Yeah. So, my dad was in the military, became a Chicago police officer. I looked up to my dad. My dad was my hero. I wanted to be just like my dad. So after high school, I went into the Marine Corps. I got out. I became a Chicago policeman. And, I was going to do 30 years of that, get my city pension and retire. Well, I got asked by Mike McDermott, who runs my security now. We were both cops in the 14th district in Chicago. And I was walking out of the station one night about 1:00 in the morning. I just finished my shift. And he said, "Hey, we need an extra guy for this talk show tomorrow." I didn't even ask what. I just said, "How much is it paying?" He said, $35 an hour. And I was like, bam.
No problem. Thank you.
I mean, this is 1994. $35 an hour is a lot of money. And it's probably a lot of money now to a lot of people. So I went there. It was supposed to be for one day. Then the guy who was kind of running security there, he knew I was dependable. So whenever he called me, yeah, I'll be there. And then he ended up getting fired. And when they fired him over the phone. And I was standing right there, and this producer looked at me and goes, "Hey, you want to run security here?" And I go, "Yeah." And so then, and that's when the show was kind of boring. And then when they started changing it, where it was more conflict driven, the love triangles and whatnot, they said, "Hey, we'd like you to be here all the time." And I said, "Great." And that's how it kind of led into that. I never in a million years thought I'd be an entertainer or be in TV. Like when I was on a crime scene and the news would show up, man, I'd race home to see if I could get a glimpse of myself on the news, And here I am now on TV every day. So it was funny because like I go to a Cubs game and people would be like, "Oh man, maybe we'll be up on the board," or and I'm like, "I'm on TV every day, man. I don't give a scoreboard,
After all these years, is there anything that surprises you with the show? You have the craziest reactions, the craziest things. Are you still getting surprised day by day?
So when I was on the Springer show, like the crazy stuff would happen. Like, there'd be a fight, and one time a guy's shirt got ripped off and he had one beautiful female breast, right? So like I was like, what the hell? Like that's the kind of stuff that happened at Springer, My show, it's more like some guy just committed this horrible act. He's been arrested. He's out on bail. And we get him to go on the show and take a lie detector test like 2 days before his court hearing. And I always ask my wife, I'm like, how the hell did we get this guy to come and do that? Like,
right.
Like that stuff, because my show's a little more serious in nature. So when we do stuff like that, but like the Springer show is just like, oh my God. I mean, people are like, what's the craziest moment? It's like, what's your favorite drop of water in the ocean? Like, yeah, man,
Yeah, I was just kind of thinking about it. It has to be interesting for you because even the genre, the type of content that you guys do on your show, that the world has changed dramatically on that front from the mid 90s to 2022 now. I mean, shit that used to be considered fucking crazy back then on TV now is probably for us like, oh yeah, that's, like people were just more accepting of different relationships, all kinds of different stuff versus back then there was more stigma around stuff. So even that front, I feel like your show and sort of
even what you said is the biggest change. When you were 13 and 14 watching TV, no 13 and 14-year-old watches TV anymore.
Yeah, true.
Right.
That's gone, man. So like people like, like there'll never be another Jerry Springer show. And, and then every, lame ass talk show host that comes out now wants to be the next Oprah or whatever. There's never going to be that again because we are living in a different world where, social media and internet, like you said, there was no internet back then. I said when my popularity hit on the Springer Show, I used to get fan mail. I probably haven't got a piece of fan mail in 10 years. It's all email now. But back then, when I shaved my head and my popularity really took off on Springer, it was like, the Miracle on 34th movie, like when they bring all the bags of mail into the courtroom, to show that there is a Santa Claus. Well, that's how it was for me. All of a sudden, I'm getting bags and bags of mail. And, like even that thing, that will never happen again because nobody writes a damn letter anymore.
Yeah.
So things have changed so dramatically in the last 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard this a million times, but how many Cal Ripken Jr. cards have you signed on the street by accident?
Oh my God. So you say that, but like I took when we first moved out to the East Coast, my wife had a dinner in New York. So I took my kids down to Citi Field and we're at a Mets game and this dad comes with his son and he's like, Mr. Ripken, will you sign this ball for my son? And I whispered to the guy, I go, I'm not Cal Ripken. He goes, just sign it anyway. But I interviewed Cal for he had prostate cancer and he's doing some PSAs for prostate cancer. And I got to interview him for our website. And he was telling stories how, he's sitting in first class on a plane and the air marshal, and they do it with me too, they'll identify themselves, which they're not supposed to do, but they start chatting you up. And the guy's like, oh man, I'm such a fan. And Cal's like, yeah, I'm Cal Ripken. And then when he's leaving, he's like, man, I love your show. It's like, who do you think I am? He goes, Steve Wilkos.
It is uncanny, I will say. It's an uncanny resemblance.
That's so good.
Oh, yeah, it's wild. It's wild. I'm glad you brought that up, Frank. I imagine you were sitting on that one for a while over there.
Yeah, no, it's all you could see, really.
The first guy that ever said it to me was Jose Canseco, and this was 1989. I was working in a nightclub, and he would come in when he was in Chicago, and he goes, "Man, you look like Cal Ripken." And ever since then, 1989, I've gotten it, And then his hair got shorter, and then I was bald, and then when he became bald, then it was we're interchangeable. In fact, when I was a Chicago cop in 1992. It was my 10-year high school reunion. And there was a place called Stewart's on Oak Street in Chicago. It was very high end. I said, man, I'm going to spend some money and buy a nice suit for my 10-year reunion. And when I walked in, the guy started piling suits up. He goes, yeah, your order's ready. I go, what are you talking about? I mean, $10,000 worth of suits. And I go, what do you think? He goes, Mr. Ripken, yeah, your order, it's all ready. And I go, I'm not Cal Ripken. And I go, you're lucky I'm a cop because I could have just boogied out here with about 10 grand.
Just take all of them. Just take them all. Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I'm back into video games. I got my Xbox all dialed up. Can't believe how much faster it is. I have to say that. I've been using the Xbox One for decades, it feels like. Everything's just faster. Nothing loads. And I've been playing, finally, 2K23. I'm blown away at the game. I have to be honest with you. I'm blown away at how good the golf game is using Tiger, using JT. I'm really good with JT, by the way. And then the courses that they have on this game. I was playing Cabot Cliffs the other day, which is my favorite golf course I've ever played in the world in real life, ever. Could not believe I was just there hitting the shots. Felt like I was out there with my pals. I played Pinehurst number 2. I played one of the Bandit. I played Sheep Ranch at Bandit. I was like going through trying to play all the places that I wish I was at. They got these incredible versions of them that folks like Frankie's done. I played Knives Creek for the first time. Some pretty diabolical holes out there.
Knives Creek I fucked up on. I probably should have dialed back the putting there when I had a chance and I re-uploaded it, but I just didn't. I should have played it once, realized how insanely hard that hole is. Like there's a couple holes out there. I think it's like the 9th and the 10th hole that you just can't get the ball near it. But Butters Bay is so good. You got to play Butters Bay. There's not one thing wrong with that golf course.
So that's the more pure one. I haven't played Butters Bay yet. I forgot about it, to be honest with you. And when you're there, you're so excited to play that you kind of pick a course. You just go for it. You jump out and you start playing. It's great. 2K23, it's so much fun. Society, I was in on the Society action the other day. Didn't post good score, so I got to get better at the game, but it's so realistic. If you like rush it, you get too jacked up, you're just not going to hit good shots. You got to think your way through it. So yeah, I'm going to
turn my Xbox on right now as we do this read, because once we're done with this, I'm going to be playing. Listen. Oh, did you hear that?
No.
No.
They'll be able to hear that through the microphone, though. I mean, it's just that Xbox turning on. Oh, yeah, you'll be able to hear it. You'll be able to hear that.
But I'm saying we didn't hear it. Did you guys?
What I'm saying is I'm locally recording, so you'll be able to hear it for sure because it's going right. I saw it go up. If not, then Alex Bush just put in the Xbox Series X noise going.
Buy PGA Tour 2K23 today at pgatour.2k.com. PGA Tour 2K23, more golf, more game. Go buy it today at pgatour.2k.com.
So you're in Connecticut, really good golf around there, good pizza and good golf. How's your game? Have you been playing your whole life? Are you able to play while you're recording all these shows?
I was like a hacker golfer when I was in Chicago because nobody really played golf. So once in a while we'd screw around. There was a 9-hole course. It was called Waveland. Now it's called Judge Maravitz course down on the lakefront of Chicago. We'd screw around, play something like that. But when I moved out to the East Coast 13 years ago, I didn't, starting over. I was 46 years old and didn't know anybody. And I tell the story. I was bored and my kids were in school. My wife was working. And I'm only in studio for tapings. And I went in, there's only one bar in my town. And I went in there, it was like noon. I'm sitting there and I was having a drink and I'm looking around. I'm like, look at all these losers in here at noon drinking, And then I realized, well, I'm one of the losers too. So I just got up and I walked out the street and I went to Golfsmith. I bought clubs and I took it up. And now I play every day. Not today because it's Monday. Our courses are closed, but I play every day, and we'll probably play for a whole nother month until the course gets shut down. But yeah, I play golf every day, and I go through my moments, man, where I'm on fire and I'm shooting, 80, 81, and then, I'll shoot a 95 and 96. So golf is it's maddening because when you think you're getting good, it humbles in. You go back to being a hacker.
Totally. It is funny. That's a perfect story about golf because it's something to do so that you're not just bored and being doing other dumb shit.
The good thing is too, I was just playing around different places, and then I joined a club in my town, and now I have a lot of friends, and I socialize, and so that's the big part of it. It's like you said, it eats up a lot of time because. What do you do all day long? So a big chunk of my day, I wake up. We're usually the first tee time. I play golf. I'll come home. I'll eat lunch, maybe take a little nap. Then I work out. And then me and my wife, we're watching a little TV at night. And that's just about, it's Groundhog Day every day.
It feels like we have the same exact routine. And I want to ask you because the last couple of years, I've been able to go to California for the winter months because my fiance was working remote. But this year she's back in the office. So in a couple of weeks, what am I going to do? What do you do all winter in Connecticut when you can't play golf?
I'm 58 years old. You think I'd have an answer to that? I don't. I end up getting in really good shape every winter. I lift weights, and my son is now 17. He plays football, baseball, so we're lifting weights together. But it's boring, man. And
yes, it is.
I have a beautiful gym in my basement, and it's routine. I'll work out, I'll do the treadmill, I go in my sauna. And then I'm like, okay, now do I I get bored. So I go in I have an office in my basement and, I go look at my old baseball cards or, it's finding stuff to do. And I read a lot, I read a couple newspapers. I have tons of books I read, but life is very mundane, right? People ask me all the time, "Oh, your life is so great." I'm like, dude, my life is boring. And I don't like
the time I'm sitting on the couch watching.
Other than going to the golf course, I never go out. Me and my wife have to force ourselves to go out. we went out to dinner Saturday night down in Stamford, Connecticut, where we tape. But we went down to dinner, and we're like, "Wow, this was nice." Like,
we should do this more often.
We should do this once in a while. But yeah, I mean, I think maybe when you get older, you just get set in your routines. You like, like I always said, man, I'm never going to turn into my dad when I grow up, and then I turn exactly into my father, So
you got to get a simulator. You got to get a full swing simulator in the basement.
But see,
That'll keep you.
I only live a mile from my club, not even a mile, and they have 2 golf hitting bays with all. Okay. So it's like that at least gets me out of the house. I have to put clothes on and get out of the house. Because I'm Mr. Underwear, man. Like even just talking to you guys, you can only see my shirt.
You newspaper? You read physical newspaper? Because I feel like that's a lost art. The physical newspaper.
I read the Wall Street Journal. I get the New York Post. I'll get the New York Times when I really got nothing else to read. But I read books. Like I can't read on Kindles or anything like that. I have to have a whole. I got to turn the page and all that.
See, I feel like we kind of missed the newspaper era. It's like we were right on the edge of it. And I feel like sitting there with a coffee and flipping through the giant newspaper. That's like when I see an old school photo of that, I'm like, those people were legit. Like I like that look a lot.
Well, that's me every day. That's how I start my day.
Yeah, and I like that.
I've never, and this is the truth, I've never stolen anything in my life except a newspaper. And it only happens when I'm at hotel, when I'm staying somewhere, and I'll always say, yeah, can you have a newspaper in the morning? And if I don't have a newspaper, I walk down the hallway, I'll grab somebody else's. So it's the only thing I've ever stolen in my life is a newspaper.
See, I wish maybe I'll get into the newspaper game. Maybe I'll get a subscription and just get some newspapers.
Do you get a lot of ink on your fingers? I feel like that's something that you have to deal with.
You do get some ink, but like I said, when I was growing up, and when I was talking about TV earlier, how like nobody watches TV anymore. Like you said, nobody reads the newspaper. When I was growing up in Chicago, there was probably like 6 newspapers. Now there's 2.
Right.
So that's another thing that's gone away, but I love it, man. I love the newspaper.
You mentioned earlier how, the losers at the bar at like noon, and I busted my ankle last week, so I haven't been able to play golf since then. And I legitimately during the day have been like texting people at like 12:30 of like, you guys trying to get a drink? What are we fucking doing all day long? I don't know what people are doing. At least Saturday had college football. I get it if you have like a team. Sunday, you got NFL, so if you want to sit on the couch and do that all day, but like Thursday and Friday, even here, when we didn't have much going on, I'm 3 hours behind New York time, so by like 1 p.m. local time here, work's done, nobody's really emailing anymore, and I'm just like, what are we going to do all day? Like, what are people, I don't get what people do.
Well, my dad, when he retired, my mom and dad moved on to Florida, and, my dad, he didn't have a lot of hobbies or, he was a cop and, he didn't make a lot of money. He had 4 kids. And so he spent a lot of time working. But like he retired and he said, hey, man, don't be in a rush to do this. Because he goes, it's boring as hell. Like when you're retired, and I think I have a perfect mix, right? I tape 2 days a week. I have the whole summer off. So it's I have just enough. And then I do stuff like this. I do an interview with you guys. So it's enough that, but I don't want to work too hard or spend too much time working. I want a nice big fat paycheck and work just a little bit,
Yeah.
So I have it good, but like I do, like these guys, I've known a lot of guys and a lot of my friends that were on the police department for 30 years, they all retired in the last couple of years. They're bored as hell, man. And it's scary, because you always get up and you had something to do and now you have nothing to do. And like I said, with my time off during the summer, it's not a problem. I have a Harley. I have a lake house in Wisconsin. I go back to.
Definitely a Harley guy. I could see that.
Checks out.
I have a lake house not too far here in Connecticut, so I'll go up. I'll take my boat out. Be in the pool. I golf. But then the wintertime comes and it's like, like something bad's coming, like the Game of Thrones, winter is coming, That's how I feel. Like I start scrambling, like, okay, so like the good thing is I smoke cigars, so like the big smoke is going to be in Las Vegas in a couple of weeks. So me and my wife are going out for that, with the show, and then we're going to Chicago to do some promotional work, and so I have to do things like that to give myself something to look forward to because winter's tough. And I told my wife the moment my show is over, we are out of Connecticut. Like, I don't mind being in the summer, but wintertime, I can't.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, it sounds like Chicago's home. You think you'll go back to Chicago for the summers and then somewhere else for the winters, or?
No, I mean, so like I said, I have a lake house just over the border in Wisconsin, and I do get back there. Like this year, I forced myself to get back there 4 or 5 times. And it's close enough to Chicago where I go now and I'll see Cubs games. I see all my friends and family. But I'm never moving back to Chicago. Chicago's turned into a hellhole, and I hate to say that, but it's true with all the crime. And it's expensive, taxes and all that, just like here in New York. So I have the house there. I'll probably keep something in Connecticut for the summer, Wisconsin, Connecticut. And then my dream was always to live in California. Me and my wife always wanted to retire to San Diego. And
San Diego's fantastic.
I mean, yeah, we love San Diego, but California's kind of screwed up, and we just can't do it. And it's the tax.
Not a big tax guy, I'm gathering.
I'm not a tax guy. And the other thing is,
fair.
I don't know a ton of people that are huge tax people, to be honest.
It's not an enjoyable
It's a weird thing to like.
I don't meet a lot of people that are like, I would love to just pay.
No, but there are definitely people who hate taxes, and then there are people who like really fucking hate taxes.
Right. And the other thing is, like we went to San Diego, there's homeless everywhere. The streets stink. Like, what the hell happened? Like, we used to love going to San Diego. We used to, love going to California, and I still like going to California. I really do. I just can't see myself living there. And then my daughter was going to Cal Poly, and I went to fill up a rental car. It was like $7 for a gallon of gas. I'm like, what is going on out here? This is nuts. So we bought a place down in Florida, and we'll probably retire down there like for the winter months.
Folks, this is the CCM last question. That's CrossCountry Mortgage last question. Who's our favorite mortgage company? Fellas?
CrossCountry Mortgage. I was just reading an email from them seconds ago, actually, before we started recording.
Well, that's because we like them. We have a good relationship with them. CCM listens, understands, and communicates through the entire loan process. See if you qualify today. Visit ccm.com/barstool now. CrossCountry Mortgage LLC, NMLS 3029. All loans subject to underwriting approval. www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. This is the CCM last question. I think I saw Trent's ears perk up when you mentioned the cigar situation.
Well, I was going to ask you, how do I get more into cigars? I would love to. I just need an entry point. I see a lot of people smoking cigars. I think it's a cool thing. I think it's a cool hobby. How do I get into it?
I grew up in a different era when everybody smoked. I mean, cigarettes or cigars. And I remember going to ball games. I grew up right down the street of Wrigley Field, and all the guys in the stands were smoking cigars. So,
right,
like, when I don't think that's the case so much more anymore because everything's anti-smoking. I started smoking cigars when I was a cop. I had a partner that smoked cigars, and then I was starting to get into them. And then when I got on Springer, both the executive producer and Jerry Springer smoked cigars, and then it was full on. And now I probably smoke 1 or 2 cigars every day, and that's if I'm not golfing. If I'm golfing, probably 4 or 5.
Right.
And the thing is, I would never advise somebody like, try to get into cigar smoke because, truthfully, in the long run, it's probably bad for
That's
you.
what I was thinking when you were asking, Trent. I'm like, this is like a young child asking, how do I get into drinking?
Yeah,
it'll be fine. I'm looking for something to
get into it, Trent. Get into it. Life's too short.
You know what?
You're bored anyway.
So I gave up drinking. I don't drink anymore. It's been about 5 years now. But I do enjoy cigars, and I have a vice. Like, everybody's got to have something. You can't give up everything, But I wouldn't want even my son yesterday. We went out to watch the Giants game, and I have a outdoor little fireplace and stuff. And I had a cigar, and it was going. And my son said, "Dad, can I take a couple puffs?" I said, "Sure, go ahead." And he goes, "Can I go get my own cigar?" I said, "Yeah." Go ahead, go have it. And he's 17, people probably, "Oh, why are you doing that?" You know what? He went and got a cigar. Next thing I know, it's on the table. He took like 2 puffs. I said, "Well, you don't like the cigar?" He goes, it's not for me. Good. I'd like to hear that.
Good.
I mean,
Well, once you take the taboo away, then it's not for them anymore.
Well,
That's what it is.
exactly.
It's like with European kids, and they grow up drinking, and then they're not so crazy when they start drinking when they're 19 or 20.
Exactly. And my son, like I said, he's an athlete. He's captain of his baseball team. He's on the football team. And I think my son is really good at making good decisions for himself. So it's like, hey, you want to try it? Go ahead, try it. But I have faith that he knows this isn't probably something for him at this age. And, he put the cigar down after like 2 puffs. So I picked it up this morning. I took my dog for a walk.
So you're saying it probably would have happened for me already. If I was going to be a cigar guy, it probably would have happened already.
I mean, I think it's anything that's like, how do I get into it? It's probably not for you.
Yeah.
Well, I think you are
He
into
just told
it,
you
Trent.
that you're
You
basically not cool enough.
Well, Trent likes a cigar. When we're on the golf course and he has one, he enjoys it. I think really you want to know, like, how do you dive deep into like the cigar aesthetic world, like where you're going to shows like Steve is, and like you can tell the difference between a certain type of cigar. Like, is that just like drinking wine? You just got to have a bunch of it in different types?
Well, when I used to drink, like with Jerry, I'll never forget, we were at Emerald's down in New Orleans, and, they bring out like a $700 bottle of wine. And I'm like, doesn't taste more than a $10 bottle of wine to me. Like, I care less.
Right.
And, when I started out with cigars, I mean, I probably smoked a lot of Swisher Sweets and Dutch Masters and things like that. But I'm not a cigar aficionado. I do buy some good cigars. We go down to the Cayman Islands every year for Christmas, and I'll buy some Cubans while I'm down there. But I put those in a couple different humidors, and those are special occasion cigars. Once I smoked one yesterday. But for the most part, I go on like a cigar page or JR Cigars. I order cigars online, and I buy like a good $15 a cigar, smoke. And I like a Doral, which is a little spicier, a little full bodied. And I like a big cigar because when I'm on a golf course, I like a cigar to last at least 9 holes. So I'll smoke 2, front and back 9. But yeah, I had a buddy. He's like, he had a cigar rating book, right? And I'm like, oh, you take the time to rate in cigar? And he goes, well, yeah, I'm really into it. So I open up the damn thing, and it's like, Macanudo. And he's like, good. Then the next cigar is like, very good. And it's very, very good.
What a scale.
It's like a picture book.
What is that? Very good, good. Very good. I'm like, so I told my kids that story, and so like my wife will make dinner, and it's like, how was dinner? It was good.
It's good.
Very good. It was
Very
good.
So you had a Cuban yesterday because you knew you were coming on the show, right? Was that the celebratory?
special
You're coming
occasion.
on the Foreplay Barstool podcast? Is that what it was?
That's exactly what it was.
Awesome.
Smart. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Well, look.
Well, my son didn't get Cuban, just me.
All right.
Yeah, you gave him just one of the
I
good
totally
ones.
get it though.
Just one
What
of the
Trent's
good
saying,
ones.
like we have a cigar shop in our town. We've got like 4 little spots around the main street. You've got 2 bars, you got a restaurant, and then there's a cigar shop. And these 2 old men are sitting outside with their nice hats on, and they just have their feet up on a reclining chair, and they smoke all day long. And all I want to do is just walk up to them, shake their hand, just hear all their stories. Like it's not just about the cigar; it's about the hang. I feel like too, which is more the aesthetic on the golf course. You have it in your hand, you're lighting it, you're keeping it on the tee.
Yeah.
Do you have all your different things that you do with it on the golf course, or do you play with it in your mouth as you swing?
Oh no, I can't even putt like with a cigar in
Yeah.
my mouth. It's just one of those things. I can't do it. When I'm out of the hole and I'm line 5 on the green, and then the cigar's in my mouth. But if I'm really trying to make it, no, I can't do that. But
The footage of Michael Jordan being able to do it is insane.
I mean, my dad's a huge cigar guy, and he plays a lot of golf too. And when we play and he's got a cigar, when it's his turn to swing, he just throws it on the ground. And I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. He's like, all right, I'll pick that up after I get done swinging. Pick it up, it's still lit, and you're rolling. It is a cool thing.
Well, that's what I do. I just throw it on the ground. But it's funny because our course just got aerated, right? And you throw it on the ground, and then all the sand's all over it. I'm like, God damn, I can't do that anymore. Get all the sand off it.
All right, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try.
You got to become a cigar.
I think our goal is to now play around at golf with Steve Wilkos and smoke a cigar.
That'd be great.
What an accomplishment in life that
I'll
would
take
be.
you guys to my club, man. It'd be fun.
Ooh.
Anytime.
I'm in.
I can mess with that. All right, Steve. Well, we appreciate it. Good luck avoiding the winter, surviving the winter.
But you're in California, right?
He's California. I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona. So my summer just started.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're both in nice places, man. Come on, I'm jealous.
Trent and I are in Long Island, so we're about to feel the brunt of it. I was already looking. I'm trying to get it on the Bethpage Black tomorrow. It's gonna be rainy and like 52 degrees, but I'm gonna make it happen either way.
So
love the black.
About 3 weeks ago, I played Sabonic.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. I mean,
what a golf course.
Oh, what a golf course. But so it was my old president from NBC, Steve Rosenberg. He's a member, and he invites me out there. And I drove from there in Connecticut out to Hamptons. I go, I don't care. And it's one of the nicest courses I ever played in my life. I'm not going back, man.
No, it's too far.
It's, and like my other buddies, a member of Fisher's Island, which is one of the top 10 courses in the world, right off of Mystic, Connecticut, take the boat over. And that course is wonderful. But it's an hour and a half drive.
Right.
The club is a mile away from my house. It's like I get invited to all these nice courses. I'm like,
just go right around the corner.
I feel that. I feel that.
Don't underestimate the convenience factor.
Yes.
No, you got to have it. All right, Steve. We appreciate it, man. Thank you for taking the time today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on, guys.